Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You are listening to Spin Polish Presents Unappreciated Masterpieces. I'm Ryan Sliwinski.
And I'm Bartek Sliwinski.
That's not your last name.
It's not, it's Kasprzyszak.
Oh my lord, you actually said your own last name for a change. Big shots.
Yeah, you know, why not?
Well, yes.
You'd bitch at me if I didn't.
Yes, that's right. And yes, we are Spin Polish. Why are we Spin Polish, Bartek?
Well, you came up with the name and I really liked it, so I said we should go with it. Because you see, fellows, we are always spitting, and we both have Polish blood. Well, no, we're both Polish.
Yeah, we both happen to be...
We're not bleeding.
We're not bleeding all over right now, but yes, we both happen to be Polish. And what is it that we do on Unappreciated Masterpieces? Well, I'll tell you. What we do is we do audio commentaries for movies that seemingly don't deserve a commentary, but deep down, they do. We talk about the movies that have been forgotten, left behind, the ones that have not got the appreciation that they deserve, the ones that are true masterclass affairs, ones that are beautiful pieces of work, but for some unknown reason, or for many unknown reasons, these films have just not gotten the love that they deserve. They've just not got the light shined upon them. And that's what we do. We talk about these movies and hopefully dig deep down into them and find the beauty of the films. Bartek,
That's me.
Yes? What is the beautiful film that we are going to do today?
Oh boy, is the one that we are doing today beautiful, Ryan.
It is.
The movie we are doing today, fellows, is Książ Persi, Piaski Czasu.
Sounds beautiful. Not only is the movie beautiful, but it sounds beautiful in Polish. But unfortunately, Bartek, as beautiful as the Polish language is, I do not speak Polish. And I do not know what you said. So I don't know what movie we're watching.
You gotta drink like 3 glasses of Polish blood to understand that.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah, a day.
If you miss it in a day, then, you're gonna be like you are now.
And you have to go by Polish time, like not Australian time. You have to go by like Polish days.
Oh yeah, I think they have only one time zone, so that'll work.
So there you go.
They're like 8 hours behind us.
What's the movie?
The movie Książ Persi, Piaski Czasu is The Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Prince of Persia, Sands of Time?
Yes.
Oh, is it The Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, or is it Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time?
You've caught me there. There's only one the, and it's in the sands part.
The Sands of Time? Mm-hmm. Oh my lord, when did this movie come out?
This movie came out in that year that had 2 zeros.
Holy crap, not 2020. It's a future movie.
No, it's 2010, you silly duck.
Oh my god, that was 6 years ago.
It was 6 years ago. I saw this one in the cinema.
Holy crap, but before we start with your experiences,
yes,
we don't always do these magnificent beasts alone, do we?
Oh, we rarely do.
We rarely do, but we always need help. And usually we have a guest to help us. And this guest, very special guest. It's a friend of Bartek's.
Yeah.
Very, very, very rare form of guest. Bartek, who is your friend and guest?
Ladies and fellows, today's guest is one of my dearest friends, Stefan Bradley.
Hello, fellows.
Hello.
I'm very happy to be here, and hello to our listeners from around the world and stratospheres and solar systems.
Wow.
And dark corners of the web.
Yep, and hello, fellow fellows. Yep.
Yes.
I don't know why we've made this the theme of... You know what? When we title this episode, it should be like Unappreciated Fellows, Fellows of Persia, the Sands of Fellows, and just like a picture of just like Jake Gyllenhaal as the Prince of Persia, but like a really calm, relaxed photo of him, not like one where he's like fighting or something, like one where he's like joking around, like
oh, like in Everest when he's like lying down.
No, like from the Prince of Persia movie, right. I'll find a picture of him like being jovial, like how he is at the start, where like he's like, "Hoi, I'm fun."
So Stefan is a very special guest because he's probably our first guest that is a podcaster.
That's right, yeah. I do radio sometimes. I do this show that you can actually look up on iTunes now called Mosh Pit Backstage, because I live. Do people know? Do people on this podcast know where you guys live?
We're in Australia. Yep, so
we've established Melbourne, I think.
Yeah,
but no, screw you guys. We live in Antarctica. Surprise.
Well, I've mentioned you going to New South Wales at some point, so we're definitely not there.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, from Melbourne, Sin, a show called Mosh Pit on Sin, which is a radio show about punk and metal music. And I podcast the interviews.
Nice.
So all 100 of them are on our YouTube channel, so you just look up Mosh Pit on Sin, SYN. You should be able to find all 100. And I'm slowly putting all 100 of those, because they're audios, so it makes more sense to have them on a podcast, onto the onto iTunes, and they're also on Omni, which is an Australian startup, kind of like
nice.
Podbean, which you guys I think are using for this.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, indeed
Yes.
we are. We
So-
are special.
Yeah, there's lots of interviews if you like bands like Anthrax or Misfits and Dragon Force and stuff like that. I know Bartek's not really much of a punk and metal listener. What about you, Ryan?
Oh, I love metal. I love punk. I mean, metal, not so much, but I'm a punk guy. I'm old school punk. I like my Iggy Pop, my Stooges, you know, I like the Ramones, Dead Kennedys, all that kind of good stuff.
I like ABBA.
the punkiest band of them all.
Of course.
Ever. But talking about punk, this movie, Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, is probably the most punky movie we've done on this show because it is a Disney movie, the punkiest of all distributors of film. And it is a video game, our first video game movie, is that right? It's our first movie that's based on a video game.
Unless Thunderpants had a game, this is our first one.
I don't know, Kangaroo Jack the game, we did contemplate the existence of that in that podcast.
There has been a lot of
did.
Scooby-Doo games. So...
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
That is
The
true.
Scooby-Doo 2 ended literally at the end of the credits with a Game Boy Advance cheat code, so yeah.
Which
Really?
was Doom.
Yeah.
Dude,
Dude, it's SB2.
yeah,
SB2. I remember that.
So we are doing the 2010 Jake Gyllenhaal, Ben Kingsley,
Yeah.
classic, the Prince, not the Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. So just before we get into it, I want to just get a brief backstory of our relationship with the movie. Bartek, you said you've seen this movie.
But that's not all.
Oh.
I've played the video game.
Not the video game. Did you play it with some fellows?
I don't know.
I played it alone.
But
Is it a game that you can play multiplayer, or is it just like a single player?
Oh, it's definitely single player.
Oh, yes.
But even further than before I've played the game, when I first got a PS2, it came with a demo disc, and that game was there, and it's probably one of the first things I played on the PS2, the demo of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Well, first thing I played on PS2 was Ratchet and Clank, the demo.
Oh,
Demo.
that demo disc came with Ratchet and Clank 2.
Oh, well, I just got Ratchet and Clank, the demo, where, you remember the PS2 discs very, very early on, or at least the demo ones, when you, like, flipped it over to, like, you know, the shiny side, it was blue.
Yeah.
Blue.
Remember that? That was very, like, only very early on did the PS2s have them, but then they just went with, like, the normal, like, reflective normal.
I didn't notice that. All I remember was the really, really, really long loading times. It's like, okay, Crash Bandicoot 4, quick level, waiting there for 5
Yeah,
minutes.
Wrath of Cortex was notorious.
But my relationship with this movie, never seen it before until having to do it for this show. But it was a movie that I knew a lot about when it came out, but it just didn't interest me at the time. I was like, oh, I haven't seen the game. I'm not really interested in this kind of action fest movie back then. But as I've grown older and the less people have talked about it, it has still played on my mind because this movie... What I remembered about it was a lot of the controversy of the movie itself, of, you know, about racial issues and about how true it is to the game and how, you know, it's another example of a video game movie that wasn't very good. Or was it?
Yeah.
And I come from this with no background of the video game. I have not played it, I just know of it. So there's many times in my notes where I just wrote down, oh, straight from the game. What about you, Stefan? Have you played the game or seen this movie before? What's your history with this bad boy?
I have no history with the game. I just know that it's ranked as one of the greatest games of all time, apparently. So, you know, the movie is obviously, you know, matches that reputation being the best movie ever.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, best movie ever, should be its subtitle.
Yeah. Prince of Persia, the Prince of Persia, best movie ever.
Exactly. And I watched the movie just this morning, actually.
Oh yeah, emotional.
Yeah, like 7 or 8 hours ago. Yeah.
Emotional for you.
Yeah, it was very emotional because like I was very tired.
Well, you're going to wake up now, guys. Prepare to wake yourselves up deep inside because we are going to start this masterclass affair. So get your copy of Prince of Persia ready, guys, because I know every single one of you listeners out there has your copy of Prince of Persia, you know, your legally bought copy of Prince of Persia, just ready for this occasion. I know my fans and my listeners are sitting at home going, finally, they're doing Prince of Persia. I can grab out my DVD or my
The
download
3-in-1.
copy.
You know those 3-in-1s where it has the Blu-ray, the DVD, and the digital copy?
Yeah. It's like all of them. I'll watch all 3 at the same time. Like 3 different screens.
And if you don't have it for whatever reason, Ryan said he saw a copy for $8, so go get that one.
Yeah. I saw a copy for $8. So,
Yeah, convert in your country.
Yeah, exactly. So, get your copy ready because we are going to start this in 3, 2, 1, play. So we have all seen this movie now. What was your well, Bartek, I'll go with you first because you had seen it in the past and now you've seen it again. So did it grow more for you, and how much did you remember of seeing it? Like when you saw it the first time, did you remember it very well, or had it faded in time and then it was one of those ones you watched and it was like, oh, there it is?
It was sort of both, yeah. There were parts of it that I definitely remembered, like Alfred Molina, that's his name.
Yep, Doc Ock.
Yeah, Doc Ock. I remembered him very well because of the Ostrich thing. There was Ostrich.
We'll get onto
We'll
that.
get onto that for sure.
No, let's not talk about it.
And there were bits of like the beginning, the end, the climax, and a lot of Ben Kingsley scenes. So it was another case, not as extreme as Kangaroo Jack, where I remembered only 3 things. That like I watched it and I remembered bits more and more and more. And it's like, yes, I remember this movie. I remember my impression of it was that was an okay movie. Didn't really resemble the game much, but as we know now, when we grow up, that doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Yeah, that is true. So you had a fun time rewatching it for this show?
Oh yeah, definitely.
You would say it's a good adventure romp.
Yeah, definitely in the same vein as like Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, Indy Jones. So obviously, when I watched this the night before of doing this, I was like, oh, it's nearly 2 hours long. Better be 2 hours of greatness, you know, because every now and then I do worry with ones that I haven't seen before that I made the wrong choice, but boy did I make the right choice, because this movie has everything in it, and I'm so happy. I wrote like 5 pages of notes about this movie, just like, yes, tick, 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 they did this, they did that. Everything.
The Lion King thing.
You know, everything works in this movie for me. I had a real fun time watching it last night. I wouldn't say that I laughed out loud too much, but I did chuckle quite a bit. I didn't expect it to be a funny movie. That was a little bonus. What about you? You watched it this morning, Stefan.
Yes.
And now you're getting to watch it again, so within the span of a couple hours. Is it as good as you remember it from this morning?
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I first started watching it, I was like, this movie takes itself quite seriously. But just then, you know, like maybe like 10, 20 seconds ago, there was a bit of slapstick comedy with people falling over.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm a very cynical guy, but I love watching people fall over.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if Stefan, I asked him, like, so was it as good as you watched it this morning? You're like, this is a completely different movie to what I watched. And we find out he just watched like a feature-length version of all the cutscenes from all the games
on YouTube.
From all the games.
Yeah, oftentimes they do put those on YouTube and say, like, you know,
the movie.
Yeah, you can see like Silent Hill 2, the movie, and like just have all the cutscenes and just a bit of the gameplay for context. But that's definitely Assassin's Creed, that bit there.
Oh, you mean Prince of Persia? Come on, this is Prince of Persia. I don't care about this Assassin's Creed shit.
So the first trivia, the quiz question, because I did a quiz on this movie, got 10 out of 10. I did 2 actually. I got 10 out of 10
wait,
both.
can we just stop? They were gonna cut off his hand. Like, I get it in these countries. Back then and now, that they cut off your hand for when you steal something, but he didn't steal anything. That's like my big issue. Hey, at least make him steal something to get that hand cut off.
He threw an apple at someone.
Oh, well, that means he gets his hand cut off. Fair enough. Go on, Bartek. You
Okay.
did a quiz. 10 out of 10. He's a smart boy, this one.
He sure is.
Very smart. So the question was, Because for context, this is the scene where the king decides to adopt Dastan, our main character. The question was, where did Dastan show his true character to the king? And the answer, of course, is market. The other options were forest, mountain, and king's bedroom.
You know what? I had a suspicion that it was going to be in his bed. I had a real suspicion. Oh, this CGI. So this is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
I think that Prince of Persia subtitle, the main title there, looks really futuristic. It kind of got me out of there.
Persia is very much in the future.
Yeah, see, 15 years later.
15 years
in
later.
the future.
15 years in the future.
Yes,
we don't know when this is set.
It's funny because it's very not the present, because it's called Iran now.
Oh,
but in
that's
the
right.
future,
Persia,
let's see what happens.
Yeah, we don't know. So obviously, having no background, us two, with the game.
Yes.
Me personally, I never played them. I just never got given them, so that's why I never played them. But even as someone who hasn't played the games, I do know that the Sands of Time is considered considered the best of the Prince of Persia games. Is that fair enough to say?
Yes, it's definitely the most appreciated.
Yes, it's well. You've only played those ones, right? Is that correct?
I've only played the Sands of Time itself, and my dad has played the very original Prince of Persia from 1989.
Because I would like to know why it's considered the best. Like, what's wrong with the others? Where have the others gone wrong? You know what I mean? Like, where's their movie?
I've heard that because Sands of Time's the first of a trilogy. I've heard that the later games have like story problems, programming problems, writing problems, and stuff like that.
They became Assassin's Creed, and that's where it all went wrong.
Well, like the Warriors Within and onwards, I heard they got really dark in terms of the characterization and the violence and all that.
That's good. I like.
Well, very contrary to almost any shot we're looking right now, the Sands of Time game really only has like 3 characters.
Really?
Yeah, the prince, the
princess.
Princess, the Tamina equivalent, and the villain, the vizier.
Which is like Ben Kingsley, or is he like Jafar?
I guess he'd be the equivalent of those kind of characters. And all the enemies you fight, because in this movie, spoilers, there's a dagger of time that uses the sands of time, which turns back time. But like, as you know from this movie, it's very not easy to do because it's so limited.
Yeah.
Whereas in the game, it's a very constant thing. But they do keep in mind that limited thing. The thing is, though, that all the enemies are made of sand. So you knock them down, then you press the triangle button, and that's how you like extract sand. And like the more sand you extract, the more sand you can hold.
That's pretty brutal, actually.
Yeah. And on top of that, they also take the whole idea of the time. It's not just taking back time; it's also slowing down time. So you can move in kind of like adrenaline mode.
Okay, so the we've been introduced to like all the brothers.
Yep.
A lot of them. This one, like, who does become king.
Tuss.
English actor called Richard Coyle, or Dick Coyle.
Dick Coyle. Dick Coyle, that's hilarious.
I know him from a few British TV shows. He's a TV actor. And, of course, this is Toby Kebbell, who played Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four that just came out last year. And what a career. And now he's going to be in the new Ben-Hur, I do believe.
Okay, I didn't know who they were, but I had people that I compared them to. I thought Tuss looked a little bit like Simon Pegg, maybe just more hairy and more...
I thought he looked like Martin Sheen, who's an actor from the TV show Masters of Sex.
And the other brother, I thought he looked like Rob. Our friend Rob.
Rob, that was on for Guess Who?
Yeah.
You're like, typical Rob. Little did he tell us that he was in a big blockbuster movie when he was like 18.
Yeah.
I have no idea who the woman is. Because she's got really strong. Well, basically the movie should have won an Academy Award for
her
best makeup.
Oh, I thought you. For some reason, I didn't know where he was going. Where he said really strong, and I'm like, what character?
Yeah, strong makeup doesn't really make sense, does it?
He's really strong makeup. Like it's really hard to wash off.
The costume design.
I think you meant like the movie is strong in the makeup department.
Yes. Yeah, yes. She looks alright. I don't look. I'll be one of those guys. I've done this on previous podcasts where the woman of the movie is like everyone's like, oh, she's hot, or oh, she's attractive. Oh yeah, I think she's okay.
This movie makes a big deal of how she's the most beautiful they've ever seen,
which is kind of funny because
there's no other female characters.
She's the only female character.
yeah.
Because me and Bartek were talking about this. The only other females was like the one that were like holding them later on, and then there was that group of women who go
You're
or
not.
something.
You're forgetting the best female character in the movie.
The ostrich?
The ostrich. There's an ostrich that's a woman. Come on, guys. Pick up your shit.
Well,
Clearly the most attractive. Did you see those come hither eyes?
Well, the actor that played that ostrich was a male, but like they're like, yeah, it's a female.
Well, look, at least I guess this does match the game in that there is only one female character, just like the game.
Running up a wall is a move in The Sands of Time.
Does it work like this? They've got a stick.
No, but this is actually really clever because that isn't in the game. That lets him run up much higher because it gives him more support.
And it gives realism to it. I think that's the thing about the failure of video game adaptations to films is it's a double-edged sword where people want realism to it. Like, like in video games, you don't question the lack of realism sometimes because, it's a game, it's a different experience. In movies, you want more realism, and that can be a fault to the film because people who like the game would be like, oh, it didn't happen in the game, and it's taking away the fun of the game. But then you have movies that have the same logic and realism of the video game, but that doesn't apply to film and reality, where you'll go, oh, that's bullshit, that makes no sense. So they kind of fall no matter which way they go if it's taken seriously, like this movie is. Like, this movie's funny, but I think it's a serious approach to what could be considered a silly game. Like you said, like the enemies are made of sand and all that. Yeah. They're not in this, though.
So, in that time you were talking, there were like 3 references to Sands of Time.
Where they just zoomed in to random
That
doors.
camera zooming thing right there, that was straight up Sands of Time. Every time you enter like a new area, the prince like the camera zooms around, the prince makes he comments on what he sees and gives you like hints of what you do. And you can tell the camera zooming in felt kind of artificial because that was how it was in the video game.
It's like, you know how they made the Lara Croft movies with Angelina Jolie?
I haven't seen those, actually. I probably have, maybe once.
There's a bit at the end where she finds, she finds something, I don't know, she finds, a car or something, or blah, 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 and she just goes, which is like that noise that she makes when she finds things in video games, where it's like she has a little exclamation mark pop up above her head. It's just like, It's like, that's the kind of thing that I like with video game movies, where they take those little things like this camera movement and those little things.
There was also a minor one, sort of a reference to a problem with the game. In that game, the Tamina equivalent, the princess, she's an archer. She follows you around with her bow and she hits enemies with it. She has a habit of sometimes, if you're in the way, hitting you. So when that arrow almost hit his hand, apparently that was a reference to the fact that the archer in the game kept, sometimes hitting you by accident.
If that Metal Gear Solid movie ever comes to fruition, are they going to have
with Kurt Russell?
With that exclamation point when if Solid Snake gets seen?
Yeah.
I want, yeah. I love it. I want it to be, there's a point if they ever make a Solid Snake movie where, you know how in movies the characters seem like they've been killed or whatever? Mm-hmm. They should have that bit where Snake, he looks like he's been killed and all you hear is just like, Snake! 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 And you're just like, no! And it should be cut.
They get a lot more emotional in the later games.
Are you sure?
Snake, what's wrong? No! We're all depending on you! Snake!
It's never as emotional as Snake! 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 That's the best one.
But you know what? When we were talking about the tone before, I was thinking that at the start, this movie takes itself, I thought, pretty seriously. It gets more comedic later on, especially with the ostriches. The more you meet Jake Gyllenhaal? Yeah, especially with the ostriches. Bartek, you've played the game. Do you think the movie matches the tone? Or
is the game funny?
Well, one praise of it is that the writing, the dialogue, the banter between the prince and the princess is pretty good. It's not over sexualized, super romantic, witty kind of banter. So it does have that kind of elements of it. And like I said, there aren't that many characters, so that's most of what you're going to get apart from the prince's narration.
Same number of female characters though, one in each.
Yeah. Well, apparently, the ratio male-female.
Women.
Oh, and one of the enemy types looks like a belly dancer, so that's.
But is it a funny game? Like you know what I mean? Are there jokes in it? Is it serious?
You're not gonna get much more than the banter between the two. It's mostly serious, and the whole plot device is that the prince is telling a story. So if you die, he's like, no, actually that didn't happen.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of funny.
So you think that the movie does kind of match the tone very well?
I reckon the movie has more humor in it.
Yeah.
There was a review for this movie, I can't remember if I've included it, where someone
Creed.
said, not funny enough. And I just went, alright.
This is so Assassin's Creed-esque.
This is
Well, you know,
gathering the viewing
but, you know,
points.
which came first? Prince of Persia? Or...
Prince of Persia definitely did.
Take that, Assassin's
The
Creed.
first Assassin's Creed came before this movie.
Yeah, but
yeah.
you know, it's basing it... Shut up, Bartek. I'm saying, like, this is better.
And I was hoping that he would fall into hay, just like in Assassin's Creed. But, you know,
but
can't
no.
have everything.
Can't-
They gave you a twist on it. They gave you a rope.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
so would you say that this? Okay, so Stefan, I was told by Bartek, he's like, oh, my friend Stefan will come on if we do a movie that's like a video game movie or like a music movie, like, you know, like that was like the two stipulations for like him to come on. That's what he said. Like Bartek's like, he'll come on if you do one of these ones, and I'm
Just so you know, Bartek, I also like regular movies.
I know that, but like when we
Tough, you're not coming on for a regular.
When we
It's
have-
always going to be video game or music
yeah,
movies.
but the thing is when we have an idea for a guest on, we like try to think of what's a specialization point. Like when we had Reese on, we're like, we have to do an Eddie Murphy movie first.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I was going for.
So I was like, oh, let me stew on it for a while, Bartek, and think what ones. And there were so many obvious video game movies that you could do, like you know,
Yes.
the Mortal Kombat
Super
or
Mario
Street
Brothers,
Fighter or
yeah.
Super Mario, but those are bad. I think we can't deny the fact those are not unappreciated masterpieces. But then I thought,
I actually do enjoy the Mario movie.
I do too, in an ironic way. But this one has always been lurking in the corner of my brain. I'm like, Prince of Persia, Jake Gyllenhaal, perfect film for a video game movie because people forget about its existence. And here's the thing, it's a Disney movie. Why do they forget? And I think we've discussed this before on the show, but I really think Disney's great, but they really fall flat on live action movies. Disney shines with animation, but when it comes to their live action features, they just pump out so much kind of generic stuff that beautiful pieces of work like Prince of Persia gets lost like sand in the wind.
Lost in time, just like sand.
I thought this guy was one of his dudes for a second where he's like, move out of the way. I'm like, come on, Jake, just move out of the way. He's trying to stab a guy. And then
That was a good shot.
I realized he was the guy that he wanted to stab. I thought like, whoops. I also thought that this was one of his brothers for a second as well. I'm like, okay, we're starting pretty early on the betrayal, but alrighty then.
Yeah, I thought at first it was just gonna be like a generic like enemy running through and then you won't see him again. But I'm like, oh no, it's the guy from the last scene.
Oh yeah. I thought it was going to be like an Indiana Jones kind of fight where it's just like, you think it's
Pulls
going to
out
be
a gun.
epic. You think it's epic and he just shoots him with an arrow or something. Like he just like grabs out a little crossbow. It's like, "Pshoo!"
By the way, I think I just realized why they stopped making Prince of Persia games because, well, you know, Persia became Iran. Remember?
Yeah.
So you know, Prince of Iran. That doesn't sound sexy at all.
No, it does.
I mean, and they would have to be the supreme leader of Iran.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
What about like the Iranian prince? That's got a bit.
that
of
is actually great. Can we do that game, the Iranian Prince, and it's a modern like story game where it's like modern day and it's about like you know, about the modern day politics.
It does sound
We
good.
keep
But
getting confused with Iraq.
all the Persian people / Iranian people I've met, which is like
Two.
yeah, two. We just asked them also what race you know, like they both said Persian because you know Persian obviously sounds sexier and
Yeah.
greater. No one really wants to say, "Oh, I'm Iranian." It's like,
Yeah,
"Oh
Iranian.
yeah, I love Iraq, great country."
There's this great Iranian comedian Omid Dilajad, I think his name is, and he was in the Mummy movie, like the first one. You guys seen the Mummy?
Yeah, the first
haven't
and the
seen-
third, I think.
You haven't seen
yeah.
the Mummy.
You've already crucified me on the show for not seeing.
You haven't seen the Mummy. Fucking Brendan Fraser at his height. Well, this guy is, you know, a big fat guy and bald and he's English. He's an English Iranian and he's just really funny and he makes good comments. I reckon he should have been in this movie as Ben Kingsley. Okay, so let's talk about some of the actors. We haven't really kind of focused in on much of these guys because
That's
there's a
true.
lot.
Well, that's actually my weakness. I always kind of joke to Bartek that I'm really shocking with actors' names.
Well, the bald
so
guy is Ben Kingsley.
Yeah.
Sir Ben Kingsley.
So yeah, I knew I recognized him from someone. Just like
Thunderbirds?
yes, from Iron Man 3.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And Thunderbirds, the live-action Thunderbirds. Best casting choice. We'll do that on the show one day. Jake Gyllenhaal, we all know him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't?
Me
Stefan?
more
mean,
so. I've pointed out movies that he's probably seen.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I'm shocking with the names. So if I saw them other movies, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's them.
You've seen
One
like
of those
Everest
things.
and Donnie Darko, right?
No, I haven't seen neither of those actually.
Oh, actually,
Well,
well,
he was in a great movie called Nightcrawler.
Like,
Yeah.
I recommended that one to Stefan just on
Yeah, you did.
on the train.
It's a great film, but of course Jake Gyllenhaal, he's one of those great actors where he just kind of disappears into his role, and I think he really does disappear into this Prince.
Yeah, and he doesn't really pick the really big AAA films, does he? He more goes to the...
Well, early on he did, like during this time, but now he's really grown into that kind of, I guess, like Christian Bale type, where they're really choosy and they only choose like ones they consider to be worth transforming for. Like Jake Gyllenhaal is ripped in this movie.
I definitely agree with the Christian Bale thing. Definitely.
Yeah. He is. Imagine if Christian Bale was in this movie as well. If he was one of the
He would
brothers.
fit, yeah.
And of course, Ben Kingsley. He's probably most famous, Oscar-winning for his portrayal of Gandhi, and he just plays villains, which was why I was not surprised at the twist, where it's like Ben Kingsley evil. Shock. I'm appalled to find out that he was a villain. I'm absolutely terrified by that knowledge. Why didn't the uncle just take the dagger from them? He's like, how about it's my reward, and just like takes it. Or, like,
End of movie.
Finn. Yeah, that was an art movie.
But we just go, can I have that?
Can I have that? It's like, sure, uncle, you've been a nice guy. You've raised us.
You used to buy me apples when I was a kid.
Yeah, buy, give. Does he have to buy them? He's like the prince. He's a prince. So, like, does he have to buy them? I think not. And then this guy's an English actor too. All of them are English actors except for, like, Jake Gyllenhaal, who is American or Canadian or something, and he puts on an accent for 70% of this movie, I would say.
A recognizable British accents. I was talking to Bartek about this when we were on the way here. Now, apparently the same reason that they use British accents is the same reason that... I don't know if you know about Assassin's Creed Unity, Ryan. That's the one that's set in Paris.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That game does have, speaking in French option, but the English option, they actually have English accents, and people was like, what's this? Ubisoft is a French company. Why wouldn't they have English accents? French accents.
For French characters.
Yeah, and apparently it's because they believe that English is the English accent's the most pure form of English, obviously it's English. Because I guess when you think about it, it's true. Like, imagine if Game of Thrones had American accents instead of, like the Irish or the English accents.
Yeah, that is true. But at the same time, these are Persians.
Yes,
that's true.
But also at the same time, it's a reference to the video game where everyone had an English accent.
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
lazy.
Again, Ubisoft.
Ubisoft is Ubisoft. There was a point in this movie where Jake Gyllenhaal talked, and I'm like, oh, is he doing an accent? Like, I didn't realize, because I guess he was so good that I didn't, like, he was lost. But there was a bit where he's like, hello there, brother. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? Okay, see this bit here, where he's like, the third step is the hardest. I thought that was like a foreshadowing, like that, how they do that in movies where they set up a little thing at the start and then at the end he'll be able to do that flip or whatever.
Yeah.
We never see that. He just does flips all the time. Yeah, if anything, this is uncharacteristically weird that he can't do the
It's
flip.
not a symbolism thing.
I think it was just a reference to the fact that he could run up walls in the game.
Yeah, but we've already seen him run up walls. But I thought, like, for me, as an avid movie watcher, I thought, oh, this is a nice little subtle thing that they're setting up. Like, near the end of the movie, when they go to the sands of time or whatever, he has to flip and he'll have to do, like, the third one. It'll do it. It'll be awesome. But no, I was completely wrong. Silly me. That's why I don't make Disney movies.
They have to show you new parkour things, Ryan. You can't just see the same.
I wonder if this is done by the guy who did Iron Man 3, because that's Disney, and it has Ben Kingsley as a villain in it, and, it's very, imagine if this was done by the same director. I don't think it was. That was Shane Black, wasn't it?
This guy's like Mike Newell or something.
Nah, it's Shane Black in disguise. Ben Kingsley at some point in this movie cracks open a beer. Is like, all right.
Apparently, the director of this movie knew Jake Gyllenhaal since he was 7, and he always wanted him in a movie. And I think this was the one that he.
Well, he must have been really proud. Wouldn't you have been proud?
I sure would have.
Out of pride.
Ryan, have you read the trivia about why this girl was cast as Tamina?
Wasn't it that someone had an accident?
No, I think...
That was another character. There's one character that got cast because... I think it was Toby Kebbell's character, because they had a motorbike accident. But why did she
I
get
read that
cast?
it's like motorbike accident on set?
Yep. I guess he was riding his motorcycle on the
just
set of
around.
Persia.
Just for fun, man.
No,
just for fun.
I read that the reason why this girl was cast as Tamina was because the director really liked the look of the back of her neck or something.
But
The nape of her neck.
why? What? I mean, maybe that's really essential to her character, is that she has a slender back of the neck.
That's not a Persian thing.
Look
is
at
it?
look at the back of Ben Kingsley's neck. It's just his head is flat. It just goes down. Look at it. I mean, look at it. He's one of those guys that's just like round head, but then like at the back, it just goes straight down to the spine.
Bartek, do you appreciate the characterization of Toussaint / the Prince? Because he's unnamed in the games, I'm pretty sure. He's just Prince.
I think in the one that I've played, Sands of Time, I think he was just called the Prince.
Yeah, but do you appreciate the characterization of
Jake.
the movie version?
Yeah, since this one, has more characters for him to interact to, and it's not narrated, he doesn't have to be as exposition-y. So, and yeah, he's a very kind of like free-spirited kind of guy, very kind of Disney-ish, I would say.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy, and then everything goes wrong for him, and he's still
Disney-ish.
happy-go-lucky.
Yeah, he's like a more mature kind of Aladdin, isn't
When
he?
you said Disney-ish, I'm just thinking like dull and kind of bit
Do
of
you-
an airhead.
Do you think Aladdin is dull and kind of an
Well,
airhead?
it's more like some like
I wrote in
some
my
of the male
notes.
protagonists. Yeah,
I wrote in my notes that this was Aladdin because he's a young street urchin that
That's true.
runs around the streets of
Yes. But
and he
he doesn't want to be a prince, he's a prince.
is a prince and he doesn't have a cool monkey friend. I have a cool monkey friend. His name's Bartek.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've got a cool Aladdin friend, his name is... he's white.
he's
whitewashed.
His name
Whitewashed.
is he's white. That's his name.
That's
Hello,
right,
he's
he's
white.
I'm not talking about the audience, though. The audience are fellows.
So,
Speaking of whitewashing, eh?
speaking of the whitewashing, Hollywood. What's happening? This is a part of the whitewashing because obviously, they're Persians and the actors that they have all gotten are white people and they've just given them tans. Like they haven't even darkened their skin up. They just look like they've all been having a good tan in the sun, getting their good sun on. Just like, how do you guys feel about that? Do you feel like it's a bit of a
Do I have like a filter to make him look a bit darker? Like
I think there is a filter
in like
the film,
post
isn't there?
production.
Yeah, probably. So, how do you guys feel about the whole fact that they chose white actors to play non-white roles?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's heaps of those talents available. I mean, this is Disney. They have enough money to find, I guess you could say unknown actors, but do you think that they could use well-known actors as a way to attract attention?
Yeah,
right?
they need well-known actors for the draw in, but at the same time, you say based on Prince of Persia, one of the great games, Disney, one of the great companies, and then you're just like Joe Blow from down the road. Oh well, 2 out of 3. That's shit. I'm just going to stay home. But yeah, I guess you need the selling point of someone like Jake Gyllenhaal and someone like
Ben Kingsley.
Dick Coyle. Dick Coyle. And Ben Kingsley. Well, Ben Kingsley, he's not just white,
He's Indian.
yeah, he's got that going on, but so he has that in his so that's more acceptable, but at the same time it's like they've also darkened his skin up way more than what he actually
Kingsley's
is.
fine because technically people don't realize that Persia / Iran is actually in Asia, Western Asia.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Oh, he's dancing now. Look at this guy. He's having a little dance. I thought he was getting his dance
getting
on.
hot in here.
Just take it off, you idiot. Oh, look, and they're like, okay, so when they touch it, their hands burn. But see how Toby Kebbell did not react to touching it just then? He's like, how come his face is burning? You didn't touch his face on it. I don't understand. And everyone's like, it's obviously Jake Gyllenhaal who did it. There's no suspicion of anyone else. Let's kill him here on the spot.
That's an interesting idea, the burning robe. That's not in the game, is it, Bartek? That's
No, it's based on an ancient Greek fable called Medea.
Oh.
Well, Medea's a character.
Medea.
Medea. She was the wife of, who was it?
Jason?
Jason from Jason and the Argonauts. and Jason cheated on her and he got himself a new young princess, and as a thing, she gave her a dress that was poison and she like burnt to death, very similar to that. So that's what I think that's a real reference to, maybe in the game, but yeah.
So this movie uses not only whitewashing but Greek washing.
The last time, I mean, look, the Greeks are having it hard enough with their financial crisis that they're going on. Leave them be.
Give them some money for their Medea.
I mean, yet again, yeah, look, Greece is doing fine now. My Big Fat Greek Wedding too came out finally, so their economy is back to where it was.
It's an Australian movie that's not whitewashing.
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm not sure I was convinced with what was the girl's name? Tamina, yeah?
Yeah.
Why she's like, oh, I'm just gonna help this guy.
I don't understand why she didn't leave him for dead either, but
Exactly.
he had the dagger, and so she needs the dagger and return it to the place. I like there's a little plot point that's the best horse in the land, where it's like, one's the best horse, and they kind of just like...
Maybe it was an ego thing.
They do nothing with it. Like, you think they're going to outrun it, but they get stopped several times on this horse. Like, they never outrun anything except for that one scene just now. So I kind of feel sorry for this horse. I think going back to the whitewashing thing, I think it's very... a little bit uncomfortable in this movie when a lot of these actors we do know, and we do know them as white, and they've just got like Jake Gyllenhaal, where just like they've just tanned them up, and you're like, come on, like, and then he's doing his British, he's grown a little bit of a beard, and he's got a British accent, and that's it, and you're just like, oh, okay, like, look, Ben Kingsley, I'll give that a pass, and Alfred Molina, I give him a pass because, well, Hollywood everyone gives him a pass because he's one of those actors that can play any race pretty much. Like he goes from, like North African to Middle Eastern to European you can give him a pass American.
You can give him more of a pass like almost out of ignorance because you don't know what he is.
Yeah, he's one of those people who have like certain ethnic backgrounds that just give him a complexion and a look that can just kind of blend into many other things. So like he'll be like English in one movie, and you're like, yeah, he looks English, and then like in another movie he'll be like
in another movie.
He'll be an octopus. You're like, yeah, he's an octopus.
I thought those special effects just were really cool. The whole sequence.
I think every time they do that, it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I liked how they foreshadowed with like the kind of magma thing on his neck or whatever it is. Like at the end when they do go to where the sands of time are, and it's just like
the hourglass time, yeah.
The hourglass time, and there's all like the lava and magma and all that kind of stuff. And I really like there's a bit at the end when he does like when they travel back in time or whatever. And it like zooms out and it shows the hourglass, and it kind of like the way they fade to the dagger, it kind of looks like the hourglass is just a giant dagger.
Thing in the middle of the glass bit.
Yeah, it looked like it's a giant dagger, and you just like transitions to the dagger in his hand. I'm like, that was neat. You know, there's a cinematography in this movie, guys, and the general filmmaking is very top notch. I think it is visually engaging for what could be something that could easily be mishandled. I mean, think of the colors we're looking at. They're kind of drab golds and browns. They're kind of not that poppy, but the way the camera moves and the people in the frame, it kind of makes you kind of just, look at, it doesn't get too bogged down in what is the desert, which is just a desolate look. So I think we really have to commend the filmmakers on the wonderful amount of work.
I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, and they didn't use one of the things that often was a problem with the dagger in the PS2 game, which is obviously you rewind time, but you can only do it a certain amount of time. Often you will fall into a pit and be like, oh shit, I died, better use the dagger, and then
you're stuck in the pit?
It'll rewind you, but when it rewinds you to a point, it remembers the momentum of that moment. So if you're in the middle of a run, you might finish your run and jump and die again.
So you'll be stuck forever.
Yeah, if you've seen the internet animator Egoraptor's the Sands of Awesome video, the basic joke of that is that's what happens. He falls down a really long cliff, dies, rewinds, but the momentum that he rewinds to is when he's about to jump.
See how he's like camouflaging the horse's hooves?
Yeah.
And see how that never plays into the story again? Like you thought like there would be a point where it's like, he's disappeared. You can't find him now. I was like, yeah. How come you never see other movies do that either? where it's like, oh, we're on a horse. They'll find the footsteps of the horse, the shoe marks. Let's just cover it with like silk.
They could just have like a little guy with a leaf just like swabbing at the footprints. Like following
Why
behind them.
does he not just leave her behind?
Um,
I would. She's annoying. I think we can all agree her character is the worst character in the film.
Probably, yeah. But I guess it would come from the fact that he knows what it's like to be helpless, a street rat.
And there's no other women for him to talk that actually talk in the movie, so who else is he going to talk to?
The Ostrich. We already set this up.
That's true, the Ostrich, yeah.
Yeah, and plus he does know that she has knowledge of stuff.
And he does look at her boobs at one point.
That's true, yeah.
I think it's coming up. Well, I think
Look
it's
at her,
like...
yeah. You really think that's going to work?
Yeah, he's like, but I love she's like, found what you're looking for, mister, and he's just like, boobies. Boobies. It's like, we get it, you're a prince, you can get all that. And look, I've said this, I don't think that she's that wowz of a woman, but her boobs are okay. Like, they're no, like, I wouldn't gawk at them. Like, they're, look, ogle boob shot. He's like, oh, she's like, got, oh, look, oh. He's like, whoopsies, I'm a prince. I should have more like honor than that. But whoopsies. Classic male gaze in the film. Mm-hmm. So Bartek, was there anything in this movie that really was like a shining light moment for you? Something that you just point to and go, yes, I'm glad that this movie did that.
Especially the boobs.
Especially the boobs.
I'm glad the movie did the boobs. The boobs?
Yeah, but seriously, what is there a moment that is your favorite moment of the film, or one that you just really appreciate?
This is a hard one to pinpoint a moment in, because I feel like the movie, to change up the metaphor a bit, like you're looking for a high point. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
All movies have like high, low points. I reckon this one has an even sort of point throughout the whole thing. Like,
yeah, it's consistent.
Yeah. Although, with that being said, there are exposition-y scenes like this, and there are a lot of parkour scenes. And parkour is definitely a big thing in these Ubisoft Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia games. In Prince of Persia, more often because Assassin's Creed has a lot of different gameplay elements, whereas that one is mostly puzzle platforming, which involves a lot of parkouring around the rooms, being very clever with it.
Yeah, fair enough. But you're not going to try and pick one? It's just the general movie is just great?
I'm sort of dancing around it because I really don't know. There were a couple of moments where I thought it was really nice, like when Ben Kingsley did meet up with him after he gave him the note, which of course that scene ended not as nice. So. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Alfred Molina, certainly he was one of the funnier parts of the movie that I really liked. Which, he's probably the funniest part of the movie, and that stands out in this movie, which, while it does have comedy, he's kind of mostly in that comedy mode, even when he's being, threatening him and all that kind of stuff. Like, Alfred Molina's about to be introduced. All his commentary about ostriches, how much he loves them, what they do in the show, like
he really loves them.
How he hates taxes.
He's always
I love that taxes bit.
I love bits.
Yeah,
he does it several times.
Yeah.
I love how they wake him up by just dancing around him on their horses.
Well, again, to be menacing.
I love he has his own head on his blade. It's my favorite. I wrote in my thing. It's his own face on a knife. I mean, jeez. What about you, Stefan? Was there a little moment for you, like a real moment where you're like, yes, this is the best moment?
Oh, well, this part in particular, actually, but also early on when I was saying how the movie was taking itself too seriously, but then when you see the bit where they're shooting arrows at the wall for him to climb over, I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And also, I think we might have, we're talking lots, we might have missed the line early on where I think they were saying something like, oh yeah, your Holy Land, it's one of the best in the land, and then to me it's just like, yeah, it was before your illiterate camel riders came along.
Oh, yeah.
I love that line.
I love that too.
That beginning invasion scene, that was actually pretty good.
It was epic.
And she said it with such like a straight face. I'm just like, whoa, savage.
Shit. My favorite moment, hard to say, but I do love the bit. It's a sincere moment where Alfred Molina is protecting his ostrich during like this fight.
Oh yeah. That's coming up, isn't it?
No, it's way later into the film.
Oh, it's the one ostrich
It's
left.
like the one ostrich just left, and he's protecting it during the fight at the what is it, the temple, and he stops protecting it to save the life of his friend with the throwing knives, the black guy.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was really.
I think his name's Sesso.
Sesso. He's really great. That's a really great moment for me. I point my finger and go, yes, because their relationship is built on he saved Sesso's life in the past, so he's forever indebted to him.
That's familiar.
He's forever indebted to him. And you just kind of go, well, this sleazy guy, what situation did he save this guy's life? You know what I mean? There's a bit where you go for a little while, most of the time in the film, you go, I don't believe that this guy really cares. But then at the end, like that point later, he's willing to actually go, no, fuck my ostrich. Not like sexually, but like, get out of here. And he goes, I'm going to save this guy's life. You know, he doesn't deserve to die because at that point he ran out of throwing knives. And might add, for the guy who's the best at throwing knives, he hits one target in the entire movie. I swear. I swear it feels like he hits like the one main target and it took like all of his blades.
So this movie's basically the same as Kangaroo Jack, but with an ostrich.
Ostrich Jack? Yeah. Ostrich Jack, yeah.
Oh wow, more women. Well, there's one.
Yeah, Alfred
Then,
Molina's a man,
Alfred
actually.
Molina is a man, Stefan.
Oh, one on the left. Yeah.
Yeah, again, Alfred Molina. Why are you calling him a woman? He's clearly got a
He
beard.
can play a lot of races, but genders, you know, he's still got a long way to go.
I mean, never sell a man short. He could probably do it. So he finally realized what was between her breasts, which was sand.
Room for his finger.
Look at all that sand that's just like falling out. Like he's pouring it, you just see all this sand just like shooting off the top. I'm like,
dude.
oh, you're wasting that sand of time.
That's like a millisecond, dude.
I want to know more about the history of the sand. You know what I mean? Like, they just kind of just go, oh, the gods, and that's it. Like, who built the hourglass? And why is it specifically under there? And who made the dagger? Was it, like, you know what I mean? I want to know the history of this whole thing, because that's one of the weaknesses of this movie, is it's just so fast-paced. For a 2-hour movie, I think this movie really went along quite quickly.
It gets
It
around,
does, yeah.
This is one of those rare cases where I say another 10 minutes, maybe. You know, like, slow down a bit. Like, I know, Bartek, you're like, I didn't like the exposition scenes as much. No,
I didn't say that.
I'm not much of a fan of exposition either, but I felt like I really want to get inhabited in this world a bit more, and I felt like I didn't get that. And
You didn't enjoy the poetic stuff at the beginning and the end.
Oh, the poetry. I mean, look, he's Alfred Molina. He's basically like, I've made this lurid reputation, but I don't actually have any. Like, there is nothing. It's just like, those fake skeletons. I bought them off a gypsy. And basically,
taxes.
I hate taxes. Spits. And all these Persians with their armies and their fortresses, their roads, who pays for it all? The small businessman. I love that. He's just like, he's a union rep? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You know what I find funny about this is that, in United States, that Fox News, that really conservative right wing, they always complain about how everything, the liberal media, how especially like movies, like they're saying that the first Muppets movie had like had some sort of liberal agenda because it was like against some oil CEOs.
The big villain was a really big capitalist.
yeah, so
even
this
though they
movie,
spent the entire movie like in a guzzling car, whatever, in the Muppets. And this movie, it was like this guy, like he hates taxes, and of course people on the right, they don't like taxes.
he's a
like,
communist, obviously.
No, he doesn't like. So this guy is he's one of the conservatives really, because he hates high taxes. So he's for the small businessman. So
Yeah.
Fox News would love this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair enough. This movie,
it's not liberal. It's a conservative piece of art. Yeah,
tick. I didn't even know. You know, that's not an angle I thought of.
yeah. Prince of Conservatives. There you go.
There's an image you can work on, Stefan.
Sands of money.
Yeah.
I love that. But I love Jake Gyllenhaal has these scars on his face.
Yeah.
They're not his real scars. Those are makeup scars. They're not real. I thought they did a great job with those scars. Like, because sometimes in movies and shows, when a character has like a facial tattoo or a scar, whatever, between shots or scenes or episodes or whatever, the continuity of them is off because it's really hard to get them in the exact same spot, the exact same kind of tone and everything. But I feel like, again, makeup work, spot on for top notch. I mean, sure, maybe not make them brown, but you know, when they're white. But sure,
I mean,
we'll give it a pass.
If they were white, and you'd be like, why are there white people in Persia? That's what you'd probably be saying. But then again, yes, they didn't have to whitewash, I guess you could say.
To give the same praise in a different way, I didn't really notice the scars as much, and that means that they were so natural that I didn't even need to have to question them.
Yeah, exactly. Look, again, he missed his target. Jeez.
Has he told you about the Unbucker?
No, I think he hasn't. Tell me more about them. I love, wouldn't it be funny if we're talking about whitewashing and like, oh, they're just painting these people up, and we found out that the Nimbaka guy is actually just Brad Pitt or something? He shaved his head and painted him up.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, not saying
Christian
that.
Bale, maybe.
I think they kind of like avoided an awkward moment by saying, yes, like the guy owns him, but not as like a slave, because he saved his life.
Yeah,
they kind of avoided like an awkward moment.
Where he's like, I bought him.
Yeah.
Unlike Kangaroo Jack, which did have white slavery.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, I love that moment where Alfred Molina is actually like, I'll save my friend. Fuck this ostrich up. Not like sexually again. So, but did we have a favorite character, guys? Right? We've already danced around it, but you know, like.
Yeah, man, Taxman, yeah. Conservative guy.
Taxman, yeah.
Conservative guy.
What about you, Bartek?
Yeah, this was a really hard one to pick a favorite character, and I don't know if I have one. I feel like I'm just going to say Alfred Molina.
Everyone's going
default.
Alfred Molina, huh?
I don't know, Ryan. I mean, you always surprise us with your answers, but I don't know. I
dare you not to say Alfred Molina, right? It's like, well, you got me there. He was my favorite when I watched it the first time. But now I'm watching it again with no sound on.
I'm still like on the fence with who my favorite is.
Oh, you're on the fence all the time. He loves
Alfred
fence.
Molina and also the knife thrower. I think he's pretty cool.
Sesso.
Yeah.
Sesso, the knife thrower.
Yeah.
I really like the guy who, for no reason, keeps snakes up his sleeves.
Oh, the assassin.
The assassin.
The Hashashin, yeah.
Hashashin.
Because the word assassin comes from like Hassan.
Yes.
Hashashin.
Assassins. But I loved him because I didn't understand what he was about. You know what I mean? Like, there was a mystery to him, and I appreciate that mystery. Like, is he blind? Like, he was horrifically scarred on one side of his face, and his one eye looked like, you know how they make you look blind in movies? They give that kind of foggy lens on you. He kind of looked like he was blind in one eye, and that's like he could see the future. Right? Is that right? He could see the future, which you thought was going to be something, but he never did anything with that. Like, don't you think he would have seen his own death and stopped that? But
I don't know. I missed a lot of things with that character.
he was all about destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny's my favorite character in this movie, guys. Boy, does he come up a lot. I mean, Destiny. We haven't had a movie with this much destiny in it since Just Visiting. I would say that had a lot of destiny in it.
Wasn't like the first Amazing Spider-Man movie about destiny?
Oh, aren't they all?
Was it?
Like the first, the one with what's his
Garfield.
name? Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
Oh,
Wasn't that like it was his destiny to be Spider-Man? I haven't seen it. But...
Yeah, well,
I've seen it, I
Doc
don't
Ock
remember.
was in Spider-Man 2 with Toby Maguire, and he was played by Alfred Molina.
Oh, there you go.
So it was destiny that he would be in this movie, so we could have the destiny of talking about it.
It would have been if they had octopus racing.
Look at this.
Apparently,
She's having a lot of fun in all these costumes.
Look at this guy. I think he's my favorite character. Actually, the Nutcracker guy.
I forgot about him.
apparently he's a reference to one of the later Prince of Persias, but I don't know.
Is he the Nut King? Where they're like,
I hope
no,
so.
you're gonna fight the Nut King, and it's like, no, and all he does is just sit there cracking walnuts, and you get wounded every time they hit you.
I like how she gave him one walnut. He just kept throwing shells at the wall.
Yeah.
Speaking of Tamina, no, it doesn't say the whereabouts of the Queen. Like, we just assume that she's dead, I guess.
Yeah, I want to know the political structure of this, because they're like, you'll make a great queen one day, but she's only a princess now.
She's literally queen for one day, so she could have like.
Yeah, for one day you shall be
children.
queen. And it's just very confusing. Is she? That's a good point. I didn't think about that. There is something I did think about, though, which is at the end. There's a bit where she looks at a dead body and she looks at the dead body's hand, and it's like got one of those markings from the temple.
Yes.
And she's like, no, they corrupted the temple. The temple's corrupted, blah, blah, blah. And that went nowhere. You know, but then when they reversed, spoiler, at the end everything gets put right. They reversed time she doesn't remember anything. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Only he and Ben Kingsley do, right? Because they both travel back in time.
Well, Jake Gyllenhaal travels back in time, and he's the only one with memory.
But Jake Gyllenhaal... Here's the thing. Ben Kingsley's also holding the knife.
Yeah,
so
I was a bit confused with that part. I wasn't sure because...
I mean, because the actor Ben Kingsley plays it off like he knows it's about to happen, so he's going to play it like oblivious.
Well, is the rule hold the knife or press the jewel?
I think it's... I don't know. They never really made that clear.
Yeah,
so
it wasn't
I thought
clear
if
if
you
he
were both
went with
holding
them.
the knife.
Yeah.
Because, yet again, when he did activate it the first time, she had the knife, didn't she?
When? No, he had the knife.
But wasn't she grabbing it to stab him with it? Wasn't that the thing? I can't remember, but I
She
thought...
had a sword.
She had a sword, that's it. But she did grab the dagger first, and he went, "Oi, fuck off." And
Oh, yeah, and then he pressed it by accident. Yeah.
So I guess it's pressing the jewel.
Yeah.
Okay, because I assumed, well, that's cool, because I took it as you both hold it and you press it, and then you go back in time to get, like, you go back in time to wherever, and you both have the memories, because Ben Kingsley played it like he had memories. Like, that was my personal interpretation of it. He's just such a great actor where it's ambiguous with him. But when he traveled, he travels back in time, the church is still corrupt. That's the thing that I thought of, because she's not aware of that, and he doesn't really know. Like, she says it, but he doesn't acknowledge it. So, even though Ben Kingsley gets killed at the end, the church is still corrupt, so wouldn't they still be after the dagger for their own evil means?
Were the church corrupt, or were they just secretly assassins?
No, they were corrupt. She said, "Oh, this guy's from the church. The church has been corrupted. The church, or the temple, they're corrupt. They were in on it. Like, some of them were in on it. So, doesn't that mean at the end of the day, this is like a Hail Hydra kind of thing?
Hydra.
where at the end of the day, the church is still evil?
So could this mean that if that is a plot hole, then maybe yes, but maybe it could be a thing of, like, maybe they were corrupted after the events he went back in time towards?
No, because, see, Ben Kingsley had already set everything up. Like, you know what I mean? When he traveled back in time, Ben Kingsley had already set everything up. All he needed to do was give him the cloak, and then everything would go. So the church would have already been corrupted. Like, when he travels back, the church would already be under Ben Kingsley's rule. It would already be corrupt. It would already be having its own agenda. The assassins would have already been hired. All of this stuff. But only Ben Kingsley gets taken down at the end. Because he's the one who, is the head of the organization.
Your favorite character is still alive.
Yeah.
Maybe just,
Nutcracker.
Oh,
you might have just planned this
snake,
really
yeah.
quickly, potentially.
Here's the thing, too. Why would anyone want to help him? Because he travels back in time to be king. What's their reward? Because then they won't exist. Right? Because, like, if he travels back in time to be king, these assassins technically don't get paid. Because their function wouldn't exist anymore.
Is he trying to go back in time? I thought he's trying to set things right.
No. Ben Kingsley.
Oh, right, Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley's operational idea is he goes back in time, stops the line. He becomes king. And the assassins know this. They understand this. Everyone involved understands Ben Kingsley's reasonings for why. Why would they want to help him? Because technically they won't get paid, technically.
It's kind of like that episode of Community. Have you seen that one? I don't know if either of you guys watched Community.
I've seen
the first 9 episodes.
There's like an episode where they roll a dice and in a game, and then it's like, okay, I wonder what happened in the other timeline, because you create like 6 timelines for each roll of dice, and then the episode keeps going by rolling the dice like 6 different times to see what happens.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking like maybe they still get paid in a different timeline.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, that's a problem with time travel movies. When you have goons that are hired and they are aware. Why do they do it? Because it's not like they're going to be spending the money later.
Well,
you know what I mean? They're technically doing it for free.
In that timeline, they aren't doing it for free.
No.
But I guess your point is that there
When
is no
the
timeline.
Listen, my fellows.
Okay, fellow.
It all goes back to the idea of alternate timelines.
Yeah.
So they leave this timeline, or Jake Gyllenhaal leaves this timeline. They still exist in this timeline. They've gotten paid. They can just live their life as the movie is.
No, but this timeline, here's what I'm saying. It's very simple. Ben Kingsley this is the success story of Ben Kingsley, right?
Yes.
He kills the king. He hires these assassins to kill everyone at the temple, to kill Jake Gyllenhaal. He hires these assassins to help him take over the kingdom and kill all the other brothers. He has the dagger, stabs it in. He travels back in time to become king himself. Then this timeline where he did all that doesn't exist anymore, because it would be the timeline where there would be no brothers. The brothers wouldn't exist. Jake Gyllenhaal would be a street urchin. The assassins are technically just doing this job for free, because once Ben Kingsley stabs that dagger in, they're not going to be buying anything, because they won't exist anymore. Like, they won't exist in the way that we... Like, they would still be alive, but they wouldn't be, like, existing in this
They would have
time.
a different context in the timeline that Ben Kingsley's going to create. This timeline would still exist as events just happen.
But how? Wouldn't this time... Because here's the thing. She says that there's only two options. The whole entire world ends.
Do I need to bring Dr. Christopher Lloyd's explanation in? Remember? And then we create this reality.
Yeah, but I don't think that this movie's basing it on that kind of world building, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's basing it on that kind of understanding. Yet again, here's something. They remember everything when they travel back in time. So when Ben Kingsley travels... Yeah. When Ben Kingsley travels back in time to a kid... Would he have all the memories and understanding of a 66-year-old man?
I suppose that's what the lore established, so that's what it would be.
But that's what I'm saying about it. You're saying Back to the Future has its setup of principles of time, but this movie sets up the idea that the whole universe will get destroyed, or you travel back to be able to fix something. And then that's your reality. Like the one that you were in before, only you remember. That doesn't exist anymore. Like the one where he got stabbed on the chest doesn't exist because he doesn't have a scar. Like,
I suppose that what we should say is not so much travel back in time as it revert to a point.
Yes. I guess. But that's what I'm saying. I took it as the understanding that once Ben Kingsley achieves what he achieves, these brothers, they don't exist. That's what he said. They don't. None of this what we're seeing, none of this time, none of this backstory, it just won't happen. It just doesn't exist anymore. It's moot. It's a moot point, except for in Ben Kingsley's memories. But they technically are not real, but technically are real. So what I'm saying is, these assassins know that, right? Why do they do it? Like, they're not going to get paid, technically. From a money standpoint, it's kind of a waste of time.
That's true, but I'm just thinking, like, that he was probably waving the money or the gold or whatever in front of them and said, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. I wonder if he even told them, like, his plans to go back in time. I guess they don't know about it.
They do. The snake guy knows. And he's the head of the assassins.
But in, like, another point, spoilers for the end of Hot Tub Time Machine. Have you guys seen that?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, at the end where it starts Lugal. So if he's smart, if the uncle's smart, he'll do the same thing, and
he would improve the empire.
Yeah, he would create Google.
Uncle,
he can't because obviously he doesn't have Google in this time period. But
that's the problem, though. He is reverting so far back into the childhood, though, that all the events that he would have an understanding of would be completely different. Say, like, an army invaded them when they were like 20 years old. He's come back when he's like 8. By the time he gets to that 20-year-old period, the situations would probably be different because he's king.
Yes, but on the other hand, if you... The idea is like, if you've got the wisdom of however old he is now, from a young age, you're probably going to be like a super genius growing up.
Yeah, but then you're also going to be faulting on other issues and points as well, because...
And I suppose that would be his flaw.
Yeah, exactly, because you're working on a future that doesn't exist. So, say he solves all of these war problems, blah, 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 but he solves them in a quicker, timely manner. Say, like, if we travel back and we stop World War II... That doesn't mean we're going to stop Vietnam, because would Vietnam technically happen because we stopped World War II in 2 years instead of whatever? This movie raises a lot of questions.
Well, again,
like the video game, I imagine.
If it happens, would Iran even be? It would still be Persia, maybe.
Well, I still think that he's such a brilliant tactician that he could just, still work around whatever problems may arise.
Yeah, I reckon he could. But that's a problem, though. He is not as wise of a leader as his brother. Like, he's younger, obviously, that's why he's not king, but he's not as wise as a leader because he doesn't take he doesn't take other people's advice. There's several points in this movie where people advise him to do stuff and he just doesn't. He's like, I've got my plan, I'm following through on it. If anything, he does not change no matter what the problem is in this movie. It shows, if anything, he stays in his spot. He's like, I'm still following through on this plan even though it's all over.
And it all goes back to that word that you kept writing down. It's his destiny to fail.
Yeah, destiny.
And I'm worried that when he goes back, so when he's a kid and he goes through puberty, like, is he going to screw the whole thing up? Or...
Yeah, exactly. Will he somehow save his hair?
Yeah.
Will he start masturbating from a younger age?
Yeah. Well, and here's something. There's a bit right here where they nearly kill him. Where they nearly, like, throw stuff at his face. There's, like... Yeah, they're like, whoops.
That was pretty cool, actually.
And he was just, like, slightly inconvenienced by it. Like, oh no, that could have been me. Like, I could have been killed.
What if he goes back in time and, like, accidentally makes all the same events happen? Except that
Okay.
at this point, he's so conscious of
What's
the
this
accident.
about? What's that about?
Oh,
That person never came back either, did they? Like, you
I
thought,
don't
like,
think so.
you thought that they were going to be, like, this thing that, like, they're just spinning. You thought, oh, they're going to be, like, in the fight later. No, they're just a
It'd
bearded...
be really cool if, like, you span and, like, you were throwing out so many knives. You'd be like a knife tornado.
Oh, I thought they were, like, the tornado things that they travel in. You know how later on they travel in the sandstorm things or whatever? Like, the sand cyclones, whatever they're called, and they jump out of them. Remember that?
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, when they attack the temple, like when they attack them when they're at the temple, they're in like the sand cyclones. Wouldn't it be cool if it was those guys just spinning? Like,
It's still spinning. You just saw that before. He's still spinning. What's he doing?
Who is this guy? Like, who is this snake guy?
I suppose that's the reaction the film wants from you.
Why doesn't he want to be king? I mean, he can see the future. I mean,
is being king really like the best thing ever? Is it not for people that really want it?
king's a pretty great position.
Yeah, you can't
A
choose
lot of
it, though.
responsibilities.
Yeah, but you're the most powerful in the land.
Not really. Do you? I guess you do. But you
Does
just
everyone
tell
want
people to do-
power?
Yeah, snake guy.
If you're king, do you just tell people to do stuff for you? You
Yeah.
just say yes or no. They just come and say, okay, should we invade Saudi Arabia tonight or tomorrow? It's like, tomorrow. I want an early night tonight.
Man, I should have used Snake Guy for my university task where we had to be an animal person.
God.
It's a Persian patrol.
It's a Persian patrol!
I don't know why it's that funny.
I find it
Let's
very
make a
amusing.
meme out of it, guys.
Yeah. Persian patrol! And it's just like a
Yes,
picture
those
of...
was-
Persian
know.
Patrol Peter.
I love it. It's like, it's a Persian patrol Peter. Persian patrol Peter is just like an Iranian cop just leaning on his crappy BW car. He's just like, it's a Persian patrol Peter. I love Jake Gyllenhaal looks like he's having fun throughout this movie. I think it really amplifies our fun if he's having fun.
Yeah, well, like we said, he is that kind of Aladdin-y, Indiana Jonesy character. So, like, royal life, I imagine,
Ain't for him.
ain't for him so much. Or, well, it is for him because he has family there and he has... Well, family, I'll just stick to family. But then he comes back to his roots, I suppose, in this movie with all the adventuring, all the parkour and all that kind of stuff.
Hey, back to the whitewashing issue. I'm just thinking, because this was filmed mostly in Morocco and also in London as well, apparently.
Yeah,
so,
Pinewood Studios, hence all the English actors.
Yeah, so maybe he wasn't whitewashed. Maybe that's his natural turn.
Yeah, probably.
Potentially, because people forget how long it takes for these movies to be filmed.
Yeah,
So it
no,
would've been all
it's
day.
probably just him. Was that the snake guy just standing on a cliff, just throwing sand?
Yeah.
Someone said, shoot that. Shoot it, please. Like, get the cameras ready, guys. Snake guy, get ready. There was a bit before that we missed. I really want to talk about. It's a one-line bit where Dick Coyle,
Yeah.
he said, like, apparently the princess is like the great, like the most attractive in all of the lands and whatever. It's like, and once we get in there, we'll find out how attractive she is, and he's like, and we'll have some good fun with that. And I just wrote like, oh, I get it. They're going to rape her. Ha 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 ha. Like, it's so funny. Like, everyone's just like, ha ha, we're gonna possibly rape this poor woman. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. There's a part that I also wanted to talk about. It's actually the second question that I wanted to talk about. it was okay. We've already had the revelation of how Dastan knows that his uncle Nazim is the person that killed his
Oh, that poor
father.
horse. Yeah.
And it was because his hands were burned, right?
Yep.
So
Burnt hands.
the question was, how did he find out? And obviously the answer was burnt hands. Two of the answers were his name was on the robe,
Oh yeah.
and his name
Nazim.
and his name was on the poison.
Nazim.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my poison.
No, you see on the robe, written in poison is Nazim.
Yeah, maybe
I
this
knew.
whole thing was a mistake, and Nazim actually wanted to use the poison on himself. That's why I wrote his name on it.
No, wouldn't it be an actual surprise that it was the princess who poisoned it, and she was just being silent about it and going, "Yeah, I killed your family. I don't care. Like, we'll leave it apart." And he actually just wants to travel back in time to stop her. Like the uncle's a good guy.
Yeah, what if he's the hero? Yeah.
Here it is,
the
and
significance.
here's the lion. And he's just like, look at it. That was intense.
Look how bright it is.
That was
It's
like-
like they're in snow or like
that-
dry snow or something.
That was like the Revenant level of
Yeah.
scary. That was like almost as good as the bear.
There was I didn't want to mention it for some reason, but actually this is worth mentioning. There was also another question about Snake Guy.
Ooh, what's
was-
his name?
No.
Snake guy.
No, it was what animal does he have?
Was it flamingos?
No, that would've been
Flamingos.
Flamingo up his sleeve.
Obviously the answer is snake, but the answer that stuck out to me was mountain lion. The other mountain lion's coming out of his sleeves or whatever.
Isn't the horse dead? Is that the thing? They were petting it when they were in the thing, going, "Poor horse."
I lost track. What happened to
A
it?
horse lying down inside like that probably isn't a good sign.
Well,
so-
horses lay down.
Oh.
Oh wait, no, it's fine.
Here you go.
Okay, no, it's not fine. These are the bad guys.
That horse has
With their
spikes on it,
spike,
so,
you
so
know-
spiky horse is bad.
That's like Ganondorf from Zelda.
That was a great
Yeah, the horse.
teeth.
Was that Snake Guy? On
Yes,
horse?
it was Snake Guy. He's like the man. There's a bit. Remember later on, there's a bit where she randomly goes, "Yes, it is said that the man covered in spikes can kill anyone in 20 feet of him," and it's just like, I don't have to be 20 feet near him, and then he's like 5 feet near him.
We are learning now from all these really brief shots of Snake Guy that he is a man of nature.
Yeah, like destruction. So see, this is what I'm saying. They're setting up here that, if he uses it incorrectly, Nazim's treachery will pay for it. Like
Oh,
the whole universe will
Naz-
get destroyed.
The subtitle Nizam.
Nazim.
I'm so sorry, guys. I misled you.
I thought it was
Nazim.
Nazim.
Nazim. That's an Australian comedian.
No,
It's
no, and
Nizam.
she's like,
Okay.
Nazam, kabam, and
Kazam.
Kazam. No,
Let's green egg and ham it.
give me back the Dagger.
That guy.
Actually, come to think of it, the Sesso kind of does look like Shaq, doesn't he?
Is it Shaq?
No, I'm pretty sure it's a British actor.
Shakila? Have you seen that?
What?
Shaq had a tequila called Shakila. Shakila. And it's like a bottle. You have those vodkas or whatever where where it's like a crystal skull or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was his head. It's the bottle. It's like the Shaq.
I've had
Yeah.
a can of like a Shaq drink.
Was it Shaculisis?
I don't know what it was called. It just had Shaq on it and his big greeny face.
So they're on the way. The horse is fine. Don't worry. The horse lives. I'm pretty sure. This isn't that kind of movie.
Well, he goes back in time. I mean, he reverts back at the end anyway.
I really like there was a bit where when he runs back in time and that guy who got stabbed very quickly at the start is alive again. And he's like, "Oh, you're alive!" And he's just like, "What? Like, what do you mean? Like, of course I'm alive." I thought, okay, when they revealed the ostrich, like when he's just like, "This is the last one left," and he's like the ostrich is wearing like a bag over its head.
Yeah,
I-
we saw it.
Yeah, I thought, no, there's a bit where he's like, "Yeah, this is the last one left." He takes the bag off. I thought it was going to be revealed that, and they blinded it. It's like, and it have no eyes. I'm like, oh, this done brutal. Because they're like, that ride went on for 2 days.
Oh, the ostrich's name is Anita.
Anita, my favorite hero. And it's just like, I love it. It's like, you can't organize an ostrich race with just one ostrich. I love he has
Make that a meme.
the best part is the fact that the ostrich is the most relatable character to me, because the ostrich is like, I relate to the ostrich. It has suicidal tendencies. I have suicidal tendencies. It has big eyes. I have big eyes. Alfred Molina watches it day and night, even in his sleep. Alfred Molina watches me day and night, even in my sleep.
It's uncanny.
He kisses me on the neck, just like he did that ostrich.
It's got a hairy head.
It's got a hairy head. It's tall, just like me. I mean, the similarities are compelling.
Ryan, you're an ostrich.
I'm an ostrich. That's my animal of choice. What about you, Bartek? What
Character
kind of
of the,
animal do you think you are?
Voltorb.
That's not an animal. Be an animal, not a Pokemon.
Magnemite?
I said an animal.
Mr. Mime.
That's a person.
No, it's a Pokemon.
It's got a name. It's Mr. I had a teacher called Mr. Mime. He taught us maths.
No, Mr. Mime's a Pokemon.
I know. I'm not an idiot.
I'll be the ice cream one then, fine.
So,
What?
this is the part where I thought Snake Man was going to, like... This is a Diglett.
Diglett.
And it's revealed, like, when they chop it, you just see it cuts to Snake Man. He's like, oh! And he's, like, grabbing his dick, and you just see it's like a snake, and it's just in the ground, and then cut the tip of his dick off. Okay, so here's something I want to ask you, Stefan.
Yeah.
Your interpretation of this scene, where he chops all the snakes to bits. Do you think that he just had really good reflexes, or do you think he just kept using the sands of time to know where the snakes were going to be? Because he just starts wailing on them. Like, here we see him use it, and he's like, oh, I fucked up, I'm going to use it again. But then after he uses it, he just, like, wipes them out easily. What's your interpretation? Do you think he's just really good at killing snakes, or do you think he kept using the dagger?
That's that bit there, jeez. It's interesting, because it just seems to be one of those things where, yeah, like, he's obviously very athletic, but there's no really indication that he is like a master of using daggers like
the black guy.
Yeah, like the Sudanese guy.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess it's just, I just wanted a cool scene. It's kind of like at the end of Star Wars, how the Star Wars Force Awakens, when both the two young protagonists just seem to magically be able to fight Kylo Ren. And then this guy,
In Star Wars defense, Kylo Ren isn't even a master level himself.
Well, that's true, but in this point, he just seems to I guess he just found some new grown confidence, like something just like, I'm gonna get the girl, I'm gonna get this way.
So you think he's just fueled by that? What about you, Bartek? What was your interpretation?
Well, he used it only once after all the snakes appeared.
Yeah, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, maybe my thought process was, because he did it so easily. I thought my process was, because he even said, how did you do that? He's just like, instinct. He said it in a cocky way. I thought, like, maybe we only saw him use the dagger once, and as a cool film technique, he did all that, and you kind of question, oh, did he just use the dagger again and again? We didn't see it, because film-wise, that would be kind of annoying to see him do that.
That's
because...
true.
No, but he doesn't have that much sand, so he can't do it too many times.
Yeah, but before he used the dagger like 4 times with that much sand, and they're going off to get more sand. So I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool? But I don't know. That was my interpretation.
I'm
alone.
Filmmaking technique.
I think it's mentioned that the amount of time they go back is represented by how much sand is used. So that wasn't too much.
Yeah, it was like a second.
So here, if it's instinct, then I guess that's true, because you have to act really quick.
So I suppose it would be instinct fueled by some knowledge.
Yeah. Here's a question: how many times did he die in this movie? A lot.
How many times he would have died?
He would have died.
No, he
didn't act
would
fast
have. And
enough?
how many times did he die? Because he's died already at this point. He's technically died twice. No, 3 times, because she killed him. She nearly killed him twice. She stabbed him in the chest the first time.
That's what I'm saying.
He would have been okay with that, I think.
The only time he dies is saved by when someone else presses the dagger, which is Tuss.
Yeah, because he kills
all
himself.
other times he presses the dagger before he dies.
Yeah.
The other brother doesn't really do anything, does he? There's Tuss and the one we can't remember the name.
The one though, he's really good because he's the only one that actually chases him down, and he actually fights him. We've seen him fight him, and this he's about to come back, and he goes, "I believe you, brother," and then gets fucking pelted with small spear arrows.
As soon as he comes to his side, then it's
death.
Yeah, don't cut yourself, princess. We heard about the suicidal tendencies. So.
Of the ostrich. He's like, here.
Well, don't give the knife to the ostrich.
No.
Dagger to the ostrich. No.
See, it's snow, so I guess I'm just not used to. Maybe they were out snow hunting in the past. All dead. I love how he said it too. He's like, all dead. Like, he doesn't really care.
But yeah, everyone's a lot more whiter in this scene.
Yeah, it's because of the snow.
No, hold on. The yellow tint's not here.
Yeah.
Because of the snow.
Yeah, I thought that was...
Because they're more towards the Himalayas,
Okay,
right?
Is this movie taking like place over a year or something? Is this like a different season?
You know what? They're moving further and further away from Persia and more towards the mountains.
I think it's mentioned that it takes place over a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Like, it takes them a week to get to one place at some point.
Yeah, so the temples are in the mountains, so it would be snowing there because it's in, near Asia. So, yeah. But, this movie makes sense, guys.
Maybe they're in Poland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Poland. Woo. Could you imagine the Prince of Poland? The Prince of Poland. What would it be, though? The Prince of Poland, what would be the tagline, Bartek? You would get it.
Let's see. What time period are we thinking?
Any. Doesn't matter. You pick.
Alright, Prince of Poland. If it's modern day, during the during the Eminem craze, bow down, motherfucker.
Prince of Poland, bow down, motherfucker. Or like, Prince of Poland. Could you imagine like who would play him though? Like, what Hollywood actor do you think would play the Prince of Poland?
Jake Gyllenhaal?
No.
Voltorb?
No.
Okay, let's think for real. Prince of Poland.
Willem Dafoe. It's just like Willem Dafoe, Prince of Poland, and they just choose like the most non-Polish man.
Only if the king's younger than him.
Yeah. Prince of Poland could be played by the legendary actor Michael B. Jordan. Stefan's like, what's that? Like,
Works for me.
Creed, he was great in Creed.
Yeah. He was good in Creed.
Yeah.
Step down, motherfucker.
And the king can be Sylvester Stallone.
Stallone. I'm Polish.
He can speak Polish with that.
The Prince of Austria, and it's just Schwarzenegger.
Well, it has to be.
No, it's just Hitler.
There we're not Hollywood.
Prince of Austria, Hitler.
Hey Bartek, have you told Ryan that remember that Polish joke I told you like a couple of months ago?
You did tell me some Polish jokes that I liked.
Okay, Bartek, tell us some Polish jokes. What's a great Polish joke?
I don't know, but Stefan came up with some good ones. It's been a
Well,
while.
I didn't come up with this. I read this on the internet, so
Go
maybe
on.
you've heard this one, Ryan.
Oh.
So let's just put in the context of this. So let's just say the Prince of Poland becomes the King of Poland, and what does he give to his new Queen of Poland? That's long and hard.
A Pole?
A last name.
Yeah, that was the one. I really liked that one.
That was perfect.
It was perfect because obviously Bartek's name is very.
Mine is long too.
Yes.
Sliwinski.
How many letters are in your last name?
11.
You've got like 2 more than me.
Yeah.
2, 3.
And my first name's got 10 letters.
Jeez, mine's got 4.
But still, but yours in your last name, Bartek, how many syllables? It's
3.
3. Yes, 3.
Kasprzyszak.
Mine's 3 as well.
Same with my first name. Bartek.
Sliwinski.
Right.
We're in the action scenes now.
Oh, and here's the bit. I told you, like, you'll find Alfred Molina's guarding an ostrich during this scene. He's talking about, like, I gotta look after me baby. Ostrich. And then, there he is. Find her. And he's just, like, standing there, like, after his ostrich. And then there's a point where he goes, you know what? Screw it. This guy's run out of throwing knives. Here it is. And he's like, look at me. Oi, over here with my sword that I'm holding a peculiar way around.
Upside down, yeah.
Upside down.
And he makes a dick joke.
Yeah. Oh my god. He randomly makes a dick joke out of nowhere. I didn't really expect a dick joke to happen, but it did. It went through his helmet, might I add. What a poor helmet that must have been if a knife could go through it.
It was mentioned earlier that his throwing
Yeah, he
hand
could
do
decapitate
stuff.
like
3 men with one action.
I wish we saw that.
Do you think like maybe they were reading through the script and the criticism of video game movies and while we're at it, Australian movies is that they take themselves too seriously or too bleak, and maybe they added Mr. Conservative Taxman guy when I thought
Yeah, because
and the
Mario
Ostrich,
Brothers
yeah.
was very serious.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, this is too serious. What if we had the Conservative and the Ostrich?
The conservative ostrich.
Yeah.
well, again, this is a very good video game adaptation because it adds just so much. Like I said, that game really is.
Sorry, he just kicked water in her face when he ran up to fight this guy. You see the actress there, and you see her blink. She's supposed to be unconscious, but he really kicked a fuckload of water in her face with his boots. Sorry, go on. You were saying, Bartek?
I want to see that now. This is a good video game adaptation because the Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, my fellows, is a game which is following two characters, the Prince and Princess Farah. It's entirely set in a gigantic castle that just has so many different locations for some reason. And,
Castles do that.
They don't get to interact with people. They don't get to see too many outside environments outside of the castle and things like that. Whereas this one, it's got a whole world. They've gone very far from Persia. They've got all these battles that they're fighting. They've got Snake Guy. I don't know if Snake Guy is a reference to anything from another Ubisoft title because it certainly wasn't in The Sands of Time.
Maybe it was in Assassin's Creed, Snake Guy, Unity, Metal Gear Solid.
Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
HD
It's like
remastered.
the Assassin's Creed mixed with Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Creed, Snake Guy Assassin.
with Knuckles.
And Knuckles.
Oh yeah, Knuckles.
What was it? Revengeance?
Revengeance.
Revengeance.
Yeah, I feel like they probably had the ability to take liberties with the plot here because like there is not many characters in Prince of Persia. Well, is Sands of Time the game? Is the plot like detailed or not really?
Yeah, I've heard it's cinematic.
It's been a long time since I've played it, and I've lent my PS2 to someone. I would have replayed the game for this episode if I had it, but
Gave away his PS2.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I'm not too familiar on the lore of the game, but
was there a bit where they cut open a snake to get a dagger out?
well, again, I don't know if there was a snake.
Was there a dagger?
Of course there was a dagger. There was only one point later on in where you lose the dagger and you gotta work without it, but you get a better sword to compensate.
So, basically, the game gets better without the dagger. Cool.
Well,
that's great.
No, you can kill enemies faster, but you want the dagger because the dagger's awesome.
Matter of opinion, mate. I like how he buried his brother with rocks. In a day or two, wolves will be after him. You bury him, mate. Jesus.
He didn't have a shovel.
Give him the
Also-
respect he deserves.
Also, who do they worship in this movie? Because
The gods, dude. Don't you remember the gods?
she worships the gods.
Well,
He worships God. Like, what was the Persians' religious thing? Were they Muslims or were they Christian? Because I got a real Christian vibe from some of these dudes.
I don't think
maybe because they're English.
Dude, I don't know what period this is set in. Is it like BC or is it AD?
AD.
I think it's AD.
AD,
Yeah.
but yet again, the Muslim faith is one of the youngest, major
You
religions.
mean Muslim or Islamic?
Islamic, I guess.
The Muslim conquests, I'm pretty sure, were like in the 1300s maybe, or the 15. I'm probably getting that completely wrong, but I have a feeling the
I wanna know
Islamic
who
conquest was after
I get
this.
the
Who do they worship?
I get the feeling it's somewhere on the Islamic third of the Abrahamic spectrum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, wait, hold on. I read somewhere Zoroastrianism.
So roast. I've heard of that. I don't really know what that
I
is.
don't know.
Me neither, but
Oh, that had gas.
I remember reading it was Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, because I know, like, in Egypt, just a bit of history for you, Egypt was very Christian before the Islamic conquests. So it's quite possible that Persia was maybe not Islamic before that, or maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah. I like how he just beat them with a shovel because they spat on him. He's like, die! I love Scourge of the Nubia. I love how this is also...
Entrepreneur.
I love this is also... And he's just like, taxes! Oh, he hates taxes. But one of my favorite bits is just this. It's like, my friend, has anyone ever told you that You talk too much. And he's just like, yeah.
Wait, what
whatever.
about the bit early on when he's like, I would trade my own mother for that gold? And
Oh,
he looks
yeah,
at her
he's
and
just
says,
like,
like, you don't know what she's like.
Yeah, you know what she's done. He's like, all right, I love that. It's just like, yep, fair enough.
He's such
Another
a
one of my
goofy
favorite
character
parts.
for this
Yeah.
This I
movie.
thought was probably the most engaging fight scene for me. I found it very engaging, and there's many points with the parkour and this fight sequence, and a lot of the fight sequences I wrote just from, like, I don't even know the game, but I know, well, that's straight out of the game.
Well, yeah, when you were asking me what my favourite point was, this one did flash across my mind because I do remember it being really cool.
Here's something I wanna put out there. I think the weird thing about video game movies
Yes.
is, for me as a watcher of just movies, for me when video game movies come out and you watch them, I think one of the low points, except for this occasion, is when they incorporate the gameplay into the movie. You know what I mean? Like, for me, I feel like game movies should be based on the story more than the gameplay, because you
You
have
feel it's
you have
more
the-
obligatory.
yeah, you have the game for that. While what the movie's trying to do is tell a story.
Yes.
What the game is trying to do is tell us. They're trying to, make you get into the gameplay, and the story's second. You know what I mean? Like, you could have a game with a really great story, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day if the gameplay's shit. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
Yeah, there are games where you excuse the gameplay for the story and
That's
stuff
true,
like
yeah.
that.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
Like, I will excuse Metal Gear Solid because I rather the story than the actual gameplay.
That is a valid opinion by some people, yeah.
Yet again, I am a big fan of running in a box. It's like, as a personal, with Metal Gear Solid, my personal mission sometimes is to see if I can complete a mission with just the box on and like nothing else. Like, sit there, and even if they see me, I just get up and run with the box on.
Yeah, even wearing the box is sometimes a valid tactic because
It is.
you still run relatively fast while having a lower appearance. And going uphill sometimes you don't. Sometimes in Metal Gear Solid 3 you slowly go up slopes, but with the box you just run up normally.
It's fun.
So are you guys both Metal Gear Solid fans? I know Bartek
I
definitely.
played the first
Yeah.
3.
I've
but-
played most of them.
They should be good movies, right? Considering they're
Oh, yeah.
known for their long cutscenes. They should be able to fit something into that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard if a Hollywood movie did them because they have a very Japanese sensibility of storytelling, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Bartek?
It's got, rather than Japanese, very Hideo Kojima storytelling.
I guess. It's just a lot
He's
more...
a unique man.
Well, I don't think it's just that, but when I watch Asian cinema in comparison to Western cinema, they're very different. And it's more dialogue heavy than, show don't tell. They're more tell don't show as much. And
They
same
do
with Metal
tell a
Gear.
lot.
Same with Metal Gear Solid. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's got more of an Asian sensibility of storytelling than this would.
And even in the first game, they showed a lot of stock footage during some of the exposition.
Yeah. But my thing I was saying was, sometimes a lot of the game movies, I think why game movies fail is because they put the gameplay into the story of the movie for no reason. Like, sometimes, say you have a game movie that the game isn't even action heavy, but they've got to put in like some gameplay thing from the game itself into the movie where it doesn't match the movie, and that's just kind of a pain in the butt because you've got to give fan service. But this movie is an action movie, so the parkour stuff and all of that, it really works here, and I think the two best video game movies, I honestly think, you can include this one. Haven't seen Warcraft yet, but I'm hearing alright stuff. And this one is very good game movie. I haven't even played the game, but I enjoyed it as a singular film.
I do as well, yeah.
And the Lara Croft, the first Tomb Raider movie, is just mindless, stupid fun. But it's not a bad movie, it's just really fun.
My buddy Jono and I think Sam Noonan in the Zathura episode agreed with me that the Ace Attorney movie, which is a Japanese one, was also very good because they incorporated... Because that's a visual novel kind of game. You're in a courtroom, you present evidence.
Yeah.
They incorporated a lot of that kind of stuff, like throwing evidence at each other, yelling, "Take that!"
Yeah, talking about take that, Ben Kingsley just slapped Alfred Molina, and Alfred Molina's like, typical Persian, soft hands.
That's right, I remember.
Such soft hands. I love how Ben Kingsley says this. I don't have the dagger. You can see his accent change from I'm a respectable Englishman to bugger, I don't have the dagger. You know, like it's so
Tap the dagger.
it's so funny. No, Dick Coyle's in trouble.
Oh no.
What are we gonna do about Dick Coyle?
We-
Dick Coyle.
You're my brother, Dick Coyle.
This is another beautiful scene.
Do you think also Dick Coyle reminded me of Sean Bean slightly? You know Sean Bean.
Okay, now you mention it.
And he dies, so just like Sean Bean.
That's true.
Have you seen this post online where it's like, wouldn't it be great if the a 2012 thing happened where the world ended, everybody dies, everybody's dead, there's nothing left, society, the buildings, everything's destroyed, and out of the rubble just crawls out Sean Bean, and he's like,
And Kenny from South Park.
yeah, it's like Sean Bean crawls out, and he's like, finally, he's by himself, but he's happy. He's like, he's the one who got to live.
It's funny though, because if you've seen I don't know, Bartek, have you seen both Silent Hill films? I know you've seen the
I've
first.
seen the first one like
At
a few
the
months
end,
ago.
doesn't Sean Bean like he's stuck in limbo in like a different world?
Oh my
I
god,
had it.
Sean Bean's in
Oh,
Silent
shit,
Hill
yeah.
movie.
Yeah, and then in the second Silent Hill movie, he basically disappears again. He's like, I'm going to find your... Spoiler alert, I'm going to find your mother who disappeared in the first one. Then he, like, walks into, like, nothingness.
The
And then
fog,
he's
yeah.
disappeared, and he's in limbo again.
Yeah, there's
So-
a video game adaptation.
So he might as well... Is that even, like, worse than death? Like, he's been killed
Limbo.
so many times, he's in limbo.
It's like the game.
Purgatory's pretty bad.
Yeah, Purgatory is pretty bad.
You and I, we've only played the first Silent Hill, and we know that there
Oh,
are.
I
Like...
played the first three.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You played the HD collection. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've not
there,
played Silent Hill.
Are there 3 different worlds in the games?
I think all three take place in the same
Because there's
same
the
Silent Hill.
there's the normal Silent Hill, and then there's the other world.
Oh, you mean the like yeah.
Yeah, did
That's-
the movie have a third one, and that was the Limbo one?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those up to your interpretation kind of things. It's a
Yeah,
bit
it
confusing.
was
Like
weird.
I have never played a Silent Hill game, so all of this is beyond me. But I had a demo Silent Hill game, like disc for PS1 or whatever, and I think it was the first one.
It was. You played as the guy?
Yeah, probably. And there was dogs. And,
oh yeah, those interesting
and
stuff.
it scared me as a kid, so I was like, oh, I'm glad I don't have this to play it,
Well-
because, like, you know, for me, I can watch horror movies and blah, blah, blah. But, like, horror games, no, I can't handle the stress of those as much. Like, you know, I'm not much into those. I like those kind of ones where the horror is, like, off screen. Not, like, I'm not about the gore, but it's, like, the
Atmospheric horror?
Yeah.
the atmospheric
How
horror.
it feels tense. Japanese
yeah,
horror is a lot like that, I believe.
But I like
Yeah.
those kind of ones. But I can handle the kind of sillier ones where you get the same kind of feel, but it's a comedy. Like, say, Portal has that, the atmospheric kind of horror, because you know other stuff has happened before, but it's silly. It's a fun game.
So, a good thing about the first Silent Hill is it's about a father looking for his daughter.
Yeah.
And he's like going through all this scary shit just to find her.
Does he meet the Prince of Persia on his way?
I wish.
And the Prince of Poland?
Yes. In the movie adaptation, they changed him to a woman because a mother and daughter is more, tender.
They
or
thought that
whatever.
that Harry from the first movie had womanly or female characteristics. I'm like, okay.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really make a difference because he doesn't really have
Just-
much of a personality in the first one besides, oh, that radio. What's going on with that radio?
Oh no, Dick Coyle got his Dick Coyle slashed. And Ben Kingsley slightly smiled. So we're coming up to the bit where I love how he does that little hand gesture where it's like he's playing like a game show host with him, like, come on down, like, you're dead, whoop-de-doo, what a glorious mess. Like, he's got a real kind of
That's so
game
true.
show host thing where he's like, goodbye.
The
It's
scene
like,
just got 2 times funnier now. I'm just imagining he's like that guy on what's that show on Channel 10? Family Feud. Yeah,
I was
like
thinking
that
like
guy.
he's more like
Or the deal or
Larry.
no deal guy.
Yeah, I thought. Look, he stabs this guy, drops him down, and she looks at his hand, and she's like, "Oh, it's the guy it's from the temple. It's corrupted." Blah. I don't know what the point of that is, because I thought like it already established they killed everyone from the temple. But it's like, how did they find the temple? He was one of us.
One of us.
No, it's like he was a priest of the temple.
No, he's not going to be.
In what religion?
The existence of the sand glass. They have corrupted the guardians, infected us. See, they're corrupted, infected, no longer pure. It's like they've turned. So it's like, why have they not called this Prince of Persia the Sands of Fellows of Guardians? You know, like
Prince of Purge.
Prince of the Purge, where when they're making a new Purge movie, right?
Maybe.
A third one where it's called Election Day,
Oh god.
where it's like Election Day. I hope Ben Kingsley's in it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, here's the thing.
I hope Alfred Molina's there so we can talk about taxes again.
And he'll be like, I'm against taxes. And then Ben Kingsley's like, come on down. It'll be like Hunger Games where he plays like Stanley Tucci's character where he's like, you know, with the hair and all. It's like, come on down. I love Ben Kingsley is an actor of a great volume and attitude. He's really great. The thing I hate about Ben Kingsley is he's an actor that you know is great, but he just chooses to do mediocre. Like, you know, he's like, he doesn't have a great filmography in my mind. Like, he doesn't have a great body of work, but he's still a great actor. It just feels like a painter who paints not very good artworks, but you know that he does good art.
He's the type of artist that even with that bad stuff, you cannot really disrespect him.
Yeah, because he's won an Oscar and he's very, very good. He's got a great atmos, but he's, to be honest, he's very pantomime. Like, I love him in this movie, but it includes in this where he plays the typical gentleman villain. Like, he's a Bond villain. Like, he wants to be a Bond villain, and yeah, it works. But I really do wish that Ben Kingsley does more. Like, you know, I like the fact that he does stuff like The Dictator. You know, where he goes out of the box, but he's still the villain in that. And he's still basically the same character as he is here. You know, but in a different context. And I feel like Ben Kingsley one day will come back and surprise us again like he did in his earlier days where he played Gandhi and he did like more naturalistic work. Like, I say he's great in the Thunderbirds movie as the villain because, you know, Thunderbirds, where it's based on the puppets and all that.
Oh, I have a copy of it now, but I haven't seen it.
Well, the Thunderbirds, you know, the villain was a bald guy who had like, I think he has like psychic powers. His eyes light up, right? You can cast a better person as that puppet than Ben Kingsley. Like, no one could do better than Ben Kingsley. Yeah. But at the same time, it's just like, come on, Ben.
Do you think Ben Kingsley should have played the Prime Minister in Year One?
I think Ben Kingsley could play any role, really. Like, could he have been Voldemort? Sure. Could he have been the Prince of Persia? Sure.
I feel like this whole scene that we're watching right now, like from the start, was kind of like this is how we can make this a bit more like a video game. At the start, when he's like walking on.
Certainly the setting. Like, you got that kind of, I haven't played it, but Tomb Raider-y kind of vibe.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
You have some places in Assassin's Creed and. You know,
now this reminded me of a video game, like this bit where it's like, here's what the overlay of this next level looks like.
Here's
you know,
the boss.
you gotta get here.
And that is Prince of Persia.
It's just overlays. Oh, he's Snake Guy. And I love how, you remember how he dies, guys?
Come
on.
He gets slashed, right?
No. She makes him get bitten by his own snake in the face. And then they slash and push him. But technically, he got undone by his own snake.
Oh, God.
How funny, right? The snake that he can control with his mind. Apparently, he got done by his own dick.
He who lives by the snake
dies by the snake. Don't tread on me. So, we're near the great final climactic moments of the film. Is there anything, Bartek, that you want to mention before we get to the climactic ending? You know, like anything that we haven't talked about that's already gone that you think is poignant to the story?
So much like the Prince of Persia games, this is one of the points of no
Use
return.
your dagger.
Points of no return.
Yeah. He did just go sandboarding a moment ago.
I don't remember that from the game.
Oh, the making love. Prince of Porno. It's on. Prince of Porno. This is where it all begins.
What's the tagline for that?
The Prince of Pussy.
Prince of Porno. The
Prince of Porno.
Pussy.
The cream of pie.
That's good.
Thank you. I'll make a poster of that one. So, Bartek, use your dagger.
What, to start the episode again?
No,
knowing what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, no. Like, go back and talk about one
I've
moment.
actually already done that.
Oh, no.
You know, I think this is, even though this is technically not the climax, I mean, it's climactic. Yeah. It's the action climax.
Yeah,
it's a good, I think it works well. I
He
mean,
really
the
plays
shiny stuff behind him is pretty cool.
He really plays a game show host now, doesn't he? Like, he's like, I've revealed myself.
Since you've said that, I can't
He's
unsee.
he's like Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Forever as Two-Face, where it's just like, come on down. I'm like evil Larry Emder. Come on down. Look at him. He's like, God's wrath, and it's off, kick in the face.
I think the trivia mentions something like their religion doesn't have a concept of hell.
Oh,
Is that your final answer?
that's what I'm saying. Like, what religion are they? Like, they worship just God. She worships gods.
Yeah.
They talk about heaven and hell, and they say like, "Oh Lord." So what is it, dudes?
Yeah, they still have priests. Like, who's the religion? Yeah.
Give me your religious
her,
advisor.
That's her religion. With
Yeah,
the
that's her
multiple
religion.
gods.
And I love he's
Okay.
just like, wouldn't it be great if in the outtakes, in an alternate scene, he's just like, while she's like, let me go, he just is looking at her boobs and this. And she's like, you like what you see there? And he's like, what? No! And it's like, she drops. And he's just still looking at her boobs while
He turns into Mark Wahlberg.
What? No. He just keeps looking at her boobs while she's falling down going, oh! And he's just like, I never even got to see all of them.
Mark Wahlberg can be the prince of porno.
No, Mark Wahlberg can be the king.
Oh, the
Keep going on.
No, like, he's in this movie as the king. Like, you know when they rewind time?
Yeah.
It's like they rewind it, but somehow it's alternate, where it's like, Mark Wahlberg's the dad, like, he's the king, and he's like, oh, hey, son. And like, Jake Gyllenhaal was like, wait, no, he's his original dad. Like, he's street urchin dad.
Oh, right, that he was orphaned from.
Yeah. Okay, see, look, this is very confusing, because technically, they both pushed the button together.
Yeah, that's a great mystery, isn't it?
Because they both slammed it together. So now, I really like that transition. I thought that was really good. But now, they're both holding on to it for dear life. And I like how the hourglass is becoming more and more like a dagger shape. You know, it's really great. But, like, does Ben Kingsley know? Does he know when he's revealed? Like, because he plays it. You know, it's very weird.
Oh, did he just let go?
No, he's still holding on.
Family.
I think, look, they're still holding on. Well, I guess we'll find out. But see, look, time's reversing now, and it's getting pulled out by both of them.
Did he win, maybe? We'll see.
And look, they're
Oh,
both
yeah,
holding
so
on to it,
both.
and they're both still clinging together.
Yeah, they should be equal.
They should both be
Yeah.
back in time. Now, this shot, that is such an awesome shot.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
cool.
that is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best shot in the movie. Like, it's very hard when you have CGI transitions. Like, it can be very hokey, but perfect.
I feel like, they didn't overuse the CGI, even though sometimes the snakes could look a bit dodgy, but I don't think that they overuse the CGI like a lot of movies do.
And why, Bartek, in case you were going, if they travel back together, how come they both weren't holding the dagger?
Yeah.
Obviously, they're
Well,
traveling back to...
I'm not going to say that because he was holding it at this
he was
point.
holding it at this point. He never held... Ben Kingsley never held it
Yeah,
until...
even in the snake scene, like, the Cesso threw him the dagger, like, even when they went back in time.
Yeah, exactly. So, here's the thing. Look, look, Ben Kingsley's like, oh shit, he knows. Like, it's like, he's playing it, like, for me, Ben Kingsley's playing it like, we've already done this.
Either that, or he's like really, really focused on his plan. He's like, wait, what's he doing?
What's he doing?
That's how I interpret it.
Yeah, but see,
I'm
they're
really
both-
not sure.
They're both holding the dagger and they both pressed it, so really they should be, both in this together.
The film did make a point that they held the dagger. Like,
Yeah,
they
they-
didn't. They could have easily made him just slip
And
off.
Ben Kingsley's playing this like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because why would he not play it like that? Because he still wants the plan to go ahead, right? So,
I guess if he walked away, then...
I love how he plays it. He's like, yeah, he's been out in the sun too much. Got his wits. It was like, good one, Ben.
I mean, if he walked away, then he would have been, dobbed in.
Yeah, he
snitched
would've.
on. So he needs to confront
And
this,
plus,
I
it's
guess.
so on the spot right now, you know.
Yeah.
So he has to defend himself. But here's where the villain goes wrong. He tries to fight. Why? Like, he grabs a sword and tries to hit him. He's just given away his innocence.
Exactly. I was thinking that as well, yeah.
He should be so smart. Idiot. like, and
Again,
Dick
his
Coyle.
destiny to fail.
He definitely has a big brain. He's got a big bald head with a decent brain size. That he should
And a big
know better.
nose.
Yeah, and a big
And
nose.
big
He should-
ears.
And big ears. Yeah.
He's got big everything.
Yeah.
A big Dick Coyle, I imagine.
Yeah.
Doesn't it weird you out that Ben Kingsley looks like both a human penis and a human nipple?
His beard isn't too big though, surprisingly.
It's a slim goatee. Why? I think it matches his character, that Weasleyness, don't you think, Bartek? Like, he has a very thin, kind of well-trimmed,
Yeah, I agree with that,
manicured. He's very elegant. It's that typical Disney thing.
Yeah, you're talking about Jafar, really.
He's Jafar. He is Jafar. This is Aladdin. Dick Coyle is Dick Coyle. The princess is the princess. But there's no, you know what it's missing, the best part from Aladdin?
Abu, genie, or carpet?
Which one was the first one you said? The monkey?
Abu, yeah.
No, it's missing the king. The
Sultan.
The Sultan. It was like,
Well,
my favorite part in Aladdin is just before the song, where Aladdin's like pretending to be a prince
the
and
Prince Ali.
yeah, Prince Ali, where the Sultan just goes with his little hands. He's like, "Oh, Jafar, come over here." He's so whimperly cute. He's like, "Oh my, Jafar," and Jafar just like slenderly walks over there like, it's just like, "Oh my." Bro.
Well, I mean, you did say that one of your favorite characters in this movie is a fat ruler-looking dude.
The Nutcracker guy is
Yeah.
the Sultan.
yeah. Yeah, that's just Sultan. There you
Wouldn't
go.
it be great if the Sultan, like Nutcracker guy, came in right now and he was that legendary spy?
And just like,
You know they
and
talk
just
about,
like smashed him.
you know they talk
Oh,
about
yeah,
like,
I was the spy.
yeah, he's like crack, crack. It's like, who's the spy? And you just hear crack in the background. It's like, who is it? Crack. And
What a
then
twist.
he was the spy. And look at this. He gives it away, and Dick stabs him. And he's like, "Why? I was your uncle." And he's just like, "I'm sorry." Dick Coyle looks upset.
And
when
Kingsley's last word should be Dick move.
Dick Coyle, and then he starts crying out of his Dick Coyle eyes.
I mean, yeah, he turns on him pretty quickly, which
When
is like,
a-
you know,
yeah.
your whole life you know someone, then suddenly within those few seconds,
He's your uncle.
exactly, literally his uncle. You don't just stab someone.
And here she is, again looking mildly attractive. Here's something very funny. In the original timeline, he was going to marry her, right? Like, Dick Coyle wanted to marry her, but with father's permission.
Yeah.
But now in this timeline, he's like, "Oh, well, I'll give you to my bro." Do you remember the original timeline where he's like, "And if father rejects it, you, brother, can kill her with your own bare hands. Promise?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do that." It's like, remember when our hero at the start of the movie was willing to choke a woman to death because father wouldn't approve of the marriage between them? Great.
Yeah, and the rape, implied rape.
And then the implied rape.
Well,
So she's against, at this point she's completely against it until he shows
Yeah,
the
at this-
dagger, I guess, when she realized what's
at
going on.
this point, it's like, you invaded me and now you're sorry?
Here's the
You
thing.
guys are some weird fellows.
Why didn't he just travel back in time before the invasion and just stop it?
I guess he didn't have control over that.
Can't he only travel back in time 1 minute unless he stabs an hourglass?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, when he had the hourglass.
I don't think he controlled
Yeah.
it, did he?
No, he couldn't, I guess.
Yeah.
But-
So right now she's just like, she's got her resting bitch face.
with her Persian freckles.
Yes, her Persian freckles going.
Bartek-
Nearly freckles. Fucked over my king.
She has quite a lot of freckles. Dick Coyle is like, "Oh man, look at those freckles. They could have been mine." I like how the other brothers just like, the other one, the one that you were like, Stefan, you're like, he doesn't do much. Before Jake Gyllenhaal walked up there, he goes, "Go on, brother. Step up there. If you don't, I will," like, to accept her. So the other brother's like, "You get up there, mate. Get some of that pussy, or I will." And I respect him, because there's always one relative in your life. At one point, he was like, "If you don't, I'll get in there." So
Hey,
you
that-
just
that's-
like, you respect that. You
That's him
gotta
trying to.
respect
He was
that.
trying to step up. You know, he's been in
Do
the
you
background for a lot of the movie.
Do you reckon the equivalent of him from the wedding date would be the cousin?
Yeah, obviously. No, it would be the guy who learns nothing. So everyone learns nothing in this either, other than Jake Gyllenhaal, because he's the only one who survived to learn any different.
I guess she's learning that, maybe Persians are alright.
But here's the thing. Would you, if this was you, Stefan, if this was you, Bartek, and you went through this experience and you go back to her, would you at any point tell her what happened?
Well, she knows of its
Yeah,
powers,
that's what I'm
right?
thinking. Like,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
would
but
be-
exactly. So
what
she,
happened?
She would know, but like, still, would you tell her of this extraordinary thing? Because by the end of the movie, he doesn't. He chooses to just kindle it from nothing.
If he were to choose to do it, he always has the testimony of where the hourglass is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a destiny thing. Maybe like she doesn't even think that he went back in time. Maybe she just thinks, oh, this is the man who has the dagger. He's a spiritual. He's a special guy. So
he's a cool fly.
He killed the guy I gave the dagger to.
Yeah, he's the guy in the legend. I gotta be with him. Yeah, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she thinks that maybe he didn't go back in time, but in the future he will. So I've got to be with him.
Yeah, I think if it was me, I would tell her. I'd be like, hey, I know we're getting married, but I just went this whole entire lifetime experience. You got sold for an ostrich? I mean, also, by the end of this movie, Alfred Molina's got his ostrich thing back. He's happy, but they're no longer friends with him. Like, they forged a brilliant little friendship with him. And it's
But
just...
you know what? Some lives are just linked across time.
Like taxes.
Yes. Taxes have been
that
there
echoes
forever.
through the ages. Taxes. Did you guys ever watch the TV show Babar? The kids show
With
Babar.
the elephants?
Yeah, King of the Elephants.
Yes, I used to love that.
Well, there was a rhinoceros, king of the Rhino Kingdom called Rotaxis, and I loved him. I just thought when we were talking about taxes, and Alfred Molina, he could play Rotaxis in a like, how they do in the Jungle Book and all these ones. If they did a Babar one, they should have him or John Goodman as Rotaxis. That would be the best. But now the movie is over, guys.
We're at the credits.
The credits take up a good...
Thanks, John and Jordan.
well over 6 minutes.
Yeah, so this movie is like
Yeah.
not quite 2 hours.
Well, it's Disney. They can afford it.
They can afford it. So we're gonna give our quick reviews and ratings out of whatever we feel. I'm gonna go first, Bartek, if you don't mind.
I think you should, yeah.
I think I should too. So, yeah, if I inspire you guys too much with what I'm about to say. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. It was alright. 5 out of 5. No, the Prince of Persia, not the Prince. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. An amazing film. A Disney film with charismatic stars. Yes, it does have some controversy of racial issues, of whitewashing. But that doesn't diminish the actual end product itself. Yes, it would have been great to actually have some, Middle Eastern actors and all that in it as well. But, the best we could do was Ben Kingsley and Dick Coyle. So, just appreciate that one.
And Molina.
And Molina. And
I wanted to know who the Queen is, but
Coyle.
we'll live. Yeah.
So, what is the film? This film, a video game movie. And that's one of the hardest things to make. There's never been a great video game movie. I think we can all agree on that. There's never been that movie that has yet to bridge the barriers between in a successful manner. But this one, I'm not saying it's an exception, but it is awfully close. This one, the things that lack in this movie that make it from being like the great video game movie, I think is just from when it came out. 2010. There was lots of things happening then, and I feel like Disney is a part of the blame. Although Disney is great, when it comes to their live action stuff, they just pump out kind of mediocre to okay to, good stuff. And I think it just got lost amongst the credibility of live action Disney movies. And I think that is one of the reasons that stop it. And a few other things, but nothing that we've already talked about. But this movie is a great movie. It is a lot of fun. That was the thing that I was genuinely surprised about, because I thought the games weren't funny. Like, I knew they were fun to play, but I didn't think they were a humorous game. But this movie is like taking the humorous styles of, video games of different types, that I didn't expect to be in there. I felt that this movie was an appropriate movie to do because Stefan, he had to do a video game movie, but also, as we speak, video game movies are out right now. We've got Warcraft and Ratchet and Clank, and one of them's very bad, and one of them is still yet to be determined as we speak at this time. But this is a video game movie at its heart. It's an unappreciated video game movie. And that is very rare to say because usually all of them are hated. There's never a video game movie that people really love and will defend. And I'm proud that the Prince of Persia can be one worth defending. If I had to give this a rating, I had to.
You do have to.
I don't want to, because this movie is so good that does it get a rating? Sure. What's the rating though? What could I give it? I give it a dick out of Coyle.
Okay. That sounds like a refreshing rating, because if it was stuck in a coil, I imagine that wouldn't be very pleasant.
Ouch.
No, I gotta give my blood to my boner. So, you know,
Brain blood to your
my
boner.
brain blood to my boner.
With the assistance of a coil.
Let's hear from our guest, Stefan. Give us a quick review and a rating out of your choice, out of anything.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, with regards to Warcraft, I've actually heard the early reviews of that has been terrible. But I think that this will end up being a lot better than the Warcraft movie.
Take that, Warcraft.
Yeah. Like I said at the start, the movie was taking itself a bit too seriously, and then when you saw that bit with the shooting arrows into the building, and I was like, okay, finally, that's when I was like, when I woke up. Although to be fair, I literally woke up this morning and watched the movie.
Yeah.
So but you know, that was literally a scene that woke me up.
Oh,
Anyway, so
this movie wakes you up.
yeah. So the cast, the cast, I thought, the cast was good. I thought the cast was good. I thought it looked great. I think you guys would agree it looked great. The special effects, like we've seen some terrible CGI in our times. I thought, like, especially the bits when they were, going back in time. I thought that looked really cool. Now I haven't played the game. I feel like they had the liberty to make these sorts of changes because, as Bartek said, there aren't that many characters and it's not too much a story-based game. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. I feel like the director did what he set out to do, make a movie called Prince of Persia, set about the Persian Empire, and he put some video game stuff from the game, like, climbing, parkour, and some action sequences.
Yeah.
And, being a prince and a king. Yeah, I feel like the movie's pretty good, and apparently I heard that sometime last year they're thinking about making a sequel, but it's been a very long time.
Oh, it doesn't matter. They made a sequel to My Big Fat Greek Wedding like way late.
That's true.
So,
Well, it has been well over 5 years, so we'll see what happens. But
That's a Zoolander too.
yeah, that's true as well. But
Prince of Persia 2, Cream of Pie.
yeah, what's that rule 42? The one about there's always rule 34.
Where there's always like...
Oh, if you can
porno.
think of it exists.
Yeah. So of course, there's a Prince of Persia with an actual character called Dick Coyle.
Yep.
And even before that, there's probably fan art out there of the Prince fucking Pharaoh or something.
Yeah, but in terms of rating, I'll give this maybe like a 6.3 million sand. What are they called? Like the little sand
Grains.
Yes.
Yeah.
6.3 million sand grains out of 2.5 billion sand grains.
Well, that's a lot of sand grains.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
it's decent.
someone out there find the lowest common denominator so we can go down.
Yeah.
What about you, Bartek? Let's hear from the amazing, the wonderful
The wonderful fellow.
Prince of Poland, Bartek.
Dzień dobry, jestem ksiądz Bartek.
I don't know what he said. I don't speak Polish. That's a bit
So-
awkward.
So, look, fellows, I am the one who...
Fellas or fellows?
Fellows.
Road trip movie. Oh.
Jerry Barker, come
I
on.
always like that logo. I am the one who has played the Prince of Persia.
Not
Prince
the
of-
prince. Damn it, Bartek. There's more than one. There was
Yes.
3.
That's our castle today.
I have, well, in the game... Look, I have played the game that one of the 3 Princes of Persia, The Sands of Time, is based on. That is Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time for the PS2, which came out in, like, 2001, 2003, somewhere thereabouts. And watching this movie... Okay, hold on. I saw it the first time in the cinema, and really I didn't catch too many references. And thinking back on my experience, I remembered little bits like Alfred Molina. I remembered the climax with the hourglass. And I remembered the fact that it all reverts back to a certain point earlier in the movie. Those were all elements in the game, The Sands of Time. But when I rewatched it this time, I saw... Wow, there are so many of those subtle things there, like the camera shifting in that one scene. They did some Assassin's Creed things there. They had the assassins, that really interesting characters. Way more interesting than I remembered than simply, oh yeah, Prince goes out, does stuff with Princess. It did something that I think video game movies should do. you know, you mentioned the whole thing of like incorporating fan service to get people to watch it. This one took elements from the game. It said, okay, let's take the dagger of time and the sands of time that it takes. That's an important element. You can't have it without that, and it's interesting. Let's take a prince. Let's take a sassy princess that he can be with, and a villain. And, of course, the setting of Persia or that region of the world. They said, let's take that, now let's make something different. We'll incorporate, you know, little bits of elements, and, you know, they only did the camera zooming thing once. They did the Assassin's Creed viewpoint thing once. They had one final action climax, I guess. Although they did
They had many action piece sets.
Yeah. Although I guess in that one scene, they also did finish off Snake Man, and he was pretty cool.
Not Snake Man!
Not Snake Man!
Snake Man!
And obviously...
Snake Man! Snake Man!
I like how your snake sounded like you were yodeling a bit. Snake! So, look, some video game movies, they make a character the opposite gender, they take a character who was the main villain and make her a sympathetic character, they take a character who was really flamboyant and turn him into Ozzy Osbourne.
What?
This Ace Attorney movie. There was
Right. I thought you were like talking about this movie.
No,
I kind of got lost.
The first two I mentioned...
Who was Ozzy Osbourne? Toby Kebbell? Toby Kebbell?
No. The first two that I mentioned was Silent Hill. That last one was Ace Attorney movie. This one, again, it took elements and worked off of there. It didn't need to be a straight adaptation. It was more like a reimagining.
Yes.
It said video game movies have done this before. They've taken the main characters who are two plumbers who fight a guy called King Koopa who's got Goombas, and then, you know, they kind of just did the same thing in a different environment. This one was taking same elements in a completely different environment.
Good stuff.
So if I had to give this rating a movie, or dare I say this movie a rating, I would have to give it a... All you fellows, go see this movie.
Out of fellows.
Out of all the video game movies.
Hey, just before we're going to get to the reviews from IMDb. These reviews, they're like from a different dimension. But just, you mentioned King...
The best.
Well, all of the reviews ever read are from a different dimension, really. Some of them are from our own. But Bartek, you mentioned King Koopa from Super Mario Brothers. I want to know you guys, your opinion, guys. Is it Bowser or King Koopa? Which one is it to you?
Isn't it like King Bowser Koopa would be his full name?
In Japan, they originally called him King Koopa, but then some games they gave him the name Bowser.
Isn't that just like Princess Peach Toadstool? So it's Princess Toadstool, Princess Peach
True,
Toadstool?
but some games they focus on it more than others. Like in Super Mario RPG, they don't use the Peach
My
at
question
all.
was, which one do you prefer? Like, which one is it to
Bowser.
you?
Yeah,
Bowser?
Bowser. Just like in Smash
In the
Bros.
modern day, it's mostly Bowser.
I like to do King Koopa because I think of Dennis Hopper.
Well, Ryan, do you know what the Polish word for poo is?
No, Koopa?
Koopa. K-U-P-A.
Good stuff. But
King
here we
Poo.
go, guys. These are reviews from IMDb.
Do you know what the Polish word for ass is?
No.
Dupa.
Dupa Koopa.
Koopa Doopa.
And
So-
you know what the Polish word for bum is?
What?
Poopa.
Good.
That's all true.
Okay, so these reviews are very special. Now, this first review, I would say is not from another dimension as much, but it's very sensible. It's a very good take, and very similar kind of things to report on like we had to report on.
Okay.
So this is a 9-star review. It's called Not Your Average Video Game Flick. And this was written in 2010. I think most of them, if not all of them, are from 2010 when the movie came out. Because that's very important. You got to think, the perspective would be different because it's fresh. So, this is what they had to say. Tonight, I was fortunate enough to see an advanced screening of this film. Like many, I became a fan of this franchise with the Sands of Time trilogy, and I was very excited when I learned that there were plans to make a feature film based on it. The storyline of the game is very cinematic, at least in the aforementioned trilogy, not necessarily in the previous games in the series. So I felt that film adaptation would be an impressive epic. Having finally seen this movie, I can say that I was not at all disappointed. One of the main strengths going into this movie was its involvement of the series creator John McKenna.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Mechner.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, Mechner.
Mechner. John, let's go with Jordan. I didn't even say Jordan Mechner. He crafted a very engaging screen story that pushed beyond the controller, creating an entirely new addition to the mythos. I know that at times including the creator can sometimes stifle the process, as many will fight changes to the source material that need to be altered to work better with the director's vision, but I feel that Mechner's involvement showed his desire to see his brainchild develop into a success on the big screen. In addition to involving Mechner, the other big strength was the way that the filmmakers chose to handle the story. Let's face it, movies based on video games have a very poor track record. Super Mario Bros., Street Fighter, Tomb Raider, all of them made for films that were mediocre at best, and downright abysmal at worst. Pretty tough. Prince of Persia had a mighty big hurdle to clear with this, and they found the perfect team to tackle it. Jerry Bruckheimer and Disney already accomplished a similar feat when they brought Pirates of the Caribbean to the big screen, a movie based on a theme park ride in a genre that had been seen as a success in 50 years. That is true. Don't think about that. Their strategy was the same. They wrote their own story that borrowed elements from the game but did not strictly follow it. The film stands alone and does not require its audience to be familiar with the source material. The nods to the game throughout were great, but I was relieved that I was able to enjoy this film for what it was, rather than constantly looking for where it deviated from the games. This movie clearly was made for someone like me, and in my party of 4, 3 of us, who were all guys, loved it. The 4th, who was the only woman in the group, was less than impressed and complained that it was too much action. If you're expecting Citizen Kane, you stand to be disappointed, but if you expect this to be another video game adaptation, you are in for a real treat. I love it is a video game adaptation. Like, what are you expecting? But it's not Citizen Kane, is it, Bartek? Orson Welles, he really wished he would have made this movie, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So the next one is, again, a 9-star review. Very, very, very good. Again, 2010. It is refreshing. Prince of Persia. It is refreshing. Did you see Iron Man and Robin Hood? Yes? Well, this film is better. Simply because the story is original. I know it is based on the computer game, which I used to play ages ago, but the story portrayed in the script is classic and refreshing at the same time. The performances are natural and the stunt scenes are unbelievable. Now, what did Iron Man 2 miss and this movie excels at? Plot. And a fast action paced without being over caffeinated big bang explosions. And then in brackets, ever saw G.I. Joe? In brackets. Having said that, you must be warned, the dialogues are simple, but not stupid. And does contain a fair amount of moral references. Sure, everyone is crying out loud about the British accents, and then they put this in quotation marks, like this is them talking. Oh, but Persians don't speak English. Yeah, but this isn't the Passion of the Christ, or Apocalypto, and Mel Gibson was nowhere near the production. Jake Gyllenhaal, I had to clarify that. Jake Gyllenhaal is an American, but the rest of the cast is British. Makes sense, they should all have a similar accent, doesn't it? So quit, and this is the exact quote, quit your whining. Y-E-R, your whining. Overall, a good, wholesome, fun summer movie. Worth repeating. How did you feel?
Worth repeating?
Yeah. Now, Bartek, this next one I specifically chose for you in mind. I think it's this next one, yeah.
Okay.
It just has some phrases I really think Bartek would say in a review. In fact, I question if he did not write this in 2010.
Oh, God.
Here it is, an 8-star review. It was entertaining and fun. First of all, when I read some of the reviews about this movie, all my excitement was drained. But I went to see it anyway. What do you know? The movie was great. It was fun and had a lot of action in it. The CGI was nice. That's the end of the sentence. Like, it was nice. Except for a few scenes in the beginning. I thought the acting was nice. Just like, end sentence. Gyllenhaal, Prince, and Arterton, Princess, did a good job in my opinion. As a fun of the game, the script wasn't entirely accurate, just like most of the movies based on the games, but it didn't stray too far either. Okay, it was not the perfect movie, but it was something that I would go and watch its sequel of. Overall, I enjoyed myself, and I believe if you go open-minded, you will enjoy yourself too. It was nice.
He didn't use fellows once.
I feel like you would say that, like, it was nice. Like, I love the acting. It was nice. Like,
Yeah,
thanks.
it's nice. It's alright.
So this is a really creative review. Bartek, we've had one similar review on Flipper. This is Storybook Review. That's the name of the title. There's no rating.
May contain spoilers though.
It does make a review may contain spoilers. So, once upon a time there lived a young prince named Dastan. Even though the prince was Persian, he spoke like a Cockney chimney sweep with sporadic touches of Australian. The prince was an athletic young fellow. The prince was an athletic young fellow climbing walls and jumping between buildings in a manner reminiscent not of the Prince of Persia game franchise, but of the hero Altair
What?
of Assassin's Creed.
Altair.
Oh, Altair, yes.
Altair of Assassin's Creed, with some shots being direct homages, and then like in brackets, read rip-offs. Like that's what they say. The olden days of yore in Persia was a wondrous period filled with hammy acting, crappy CGI, and Persians who speak Arabic instead of Persian, save for the main characters who speak Queen's English. But it was also a time of great peril, with one of the greatest dangers being a clan of wizard ninjas called assassins. In brackets, not a typo. Predating the existence of Hashashins by roughly 1,500 years. One day, for reasons which are not entirely clear, the prince and his royal family invade a sacred city. There he comes across a young princess with full, luscious lips and an annoying voice, and the two embark on an adventure together. Sparks fly between the young couple. Not the young couple of this film, but the one from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, something which this movie desperately aspires to be. The couple in this movie has the chemistry of a vacuum, and the screen fizzles as they deliver their supposedly witty banter. They charge to and fro in the Persian countryside, bumping into comedy sidekicks and gallant black men who, of course, die first. The couple is trying to stop something which isn't entirely clear from happening, or are they trying to make something happen? The viewer can barely remember, as he couldn't care less by this point. And that was the review. And then we got one last review. It's very short, simple. Avoid. No star rating. 2010.
So it could be 10 stars.
Wait,
Yeah,
Bartek.
yeah.
This is good. Hold on.
Let's not interrupt Ryan.
Hollywood equals Chuck Norris. Does that sum it up? Hollywood has descended into making nonsensical action movies with no content but things exploding and people dying in car crashes, etc., etc. It's like Michael Bay got promoted to king of all, and he surveys over them. Romantic comedy? No, sir. Mess it up with action, baby. Yeah. Chick flick? No, sir. throw in a little bomb here and there. Wham bam! Wham bam slash duck jab wince but it never stops. The storyline reminds me of the time before the Big Bang. There wasn't nothing there, and the women with her British accent and Humpty Dumpty shat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great They actually wrote that Humpty Dumpty had a great The hero could do anything and everything and lived through it to tell the tale. Nice. Should be renamed He-Man of Persia by the power of Skull Castle. BTW is not a documentary on Ahmadinejad's son. That's the end of the review.
You say these reviews come from...
That's from another dimension.
Yeah, they come from another dimension. I think perhaps this one is so ingrained in this dimension that we get lost. Also, that was the second review to mention the Big Bang.
I love how it was like Hollywood equals Chuck Norris. Need I say more? So that was The Prince of Persia, and those were the reviews for it. An emotional tale. We even got a storybook version of the plot.
Of the beginning. Yeah.
Need we say more?
Yeah.
Need we say more? Nope, I think I'm good. You know what? Those reviews summed up everything. You guys, this has been a fun time. I mean, look, this movie brought up all the questions. It brought up time travel questions. It brought up video game. It brought up racism. I mean, it brought up Alfred Molina. I mean, what else do we need?
Well, the big question, video game movies.
Yep.
Just a quick question.
It's all good questions. Bartek, is there anything you want to talk about before we finish?
You didn't think I wouldn't do this impression, did you?
Is that your Katharine Hepburn impression? I don't know what that was. Yours and Wells.
I wish you got it correct the first time.
So, anything you want to mention, Stefan, about this?
Well, in terms of video game movies, this is unfortunately, it's a good movie, but it's not the one to create the big hype. Just say when Deadpool came out, for example, there was massive hype. When Captain America Civil War, there was big hype.
Yeah.
So Deadpool, I honestly expected Deadpool to not to be so great. I thought they wouldn't, get his character right, and they did. There needs to be, they're making a Sonic movie. A live action / CGI apparently.
And who's going to play Sonic? Shia LaBeouf?
Julia White?
I'm not seeing if that's the
Is
case.
it Julia White?
I hope so.
But they need it won't be the Sonic movie, I can guarantee that. But there needs to be a video game movie that will come out. Maybe it could be the sequel to Prince of Persia that everyone needs to see. Everyone needed to see Deadpool. Everyone needed to see Captain America Civil War.
I know the movie. I know the one.
Is it Assassin's Creed?
No. It's got to be Chris Tucker in Crazy Taxi.
I don't know. That game bored me to tears. To be
but
honest,
if you make a movie out of
Chris
it,
Tucker, okay.
Chris Tucker in Crazy Taxi. You didn't expect that, did you, Bartek?
No.
Well, that's great. Well, if we have nothing more, you guys have been fantastic, wonderful, amazing, great Prince of Persian fellows.
I
Thank
thought
you,
you were going to say listening fellows.
Thank you, fellows, and to all our fellows and
As
lady
always,
friends at home.
our fellows, all of our fellow work is on the great fellowship that is iTunes, Spit and Polish. And Bartek, you have been a great fellow, and Stefan, you have been a great fellow.
Thank you.
Stefan mentioned he has his his own podcasting stuff, and we'll
Watch Bit Backstage on iTunes and Omni. Check it out.
yeah, we'll link it. We'll link it in with the stuff, so people can check that out.
Thank you.
If you do want to give us any feedback or any requests for unappreciated masterpieces, we have our Facebook page, which is Spit and Polish Presents. You can just drop us anything there if you do feel the great need, my dear fellows. Until next time, remember to be fellows.
Yes.
There once were a bunch of fellows who went and played the bellows. They loved to play hip hip hooray, and they also used the cellos.